You know, you have to pick your time and choose your sacrifice. And I think when we talk about that consistency journey, and you have to like stay the course long enough to hit the goal eventually. You have to stay the course long enough to hit the goal. There are sacrifices that must be made on that road, and it's not easy and it's painful.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. I'm Lopez with the Relentless Project, and I'm here with Andy Grove, and he started the Pose Fitness app, which is something I've seen on social media a lot. I think I did a video demo for you guys, jiu-jitsu, way back when.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of like got to play with it a little bit, and it was cool. Like, before we get into all that stuff, though, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you got started in this. Like, this is one of those niche things. I love when I talk to people, and like, you know, the majority of people are doing everyday things, you know, and then you meet someone, they're like, oh, I'm in this industry, and it's so like niche. You're like, how the hell did you get into that? How'd you get into the?
Yeah.
I don't even know. What would you call this industry? It's the fitness industry, but like.
It's fitness and tech.
Tracking.
It's a combination of fitness and tech, and then throw some military in there and other things. But no, I mean, first off, thank you for having me. I've been watching what you've been doing. This podcast is pretty cool. You have awesome people on here, and I'm excited to be part of it.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, so I don't know, how did I get started with Pose? Was that the question?
Well, like, who are you?
Oh,
who are
am I?
you? How'd you get to this?
Um,
Did you go to school for this? Like, did you major?
yeah, it's pretty convoluted. I never know exactly where to start.
That's a big word.
Yeah, I started in design school, but really I started before that. So I started interning for my dad's company, TrueFit, at 17. It's a software development firm. So they take ideas from people with businesses, either really experienced businesses or really new businesses, and help them turn their ideas into software. So sometimes a big business would be like a Highmark Insurance or something like that has a massive system that runs the entire hospital chain and all of the documentation and all that, and they'll help them do a little piece of that, or a big piece of that. Or it's like a startup like Pose who has this new idea that doesn't exist yet that needs to get to market. So there's a lot of process around that, and I, at 17, got to go do some really, really basic design work at that point for his company. So we've always had kind of a family mentality of like, put your head down and work. So we've wanted to be productive since we were young. We've liked to, you know, work is kind of fun for us. You know, creating things.
My kind of style.
Fun for us, yeah.
That's cool. What kind of designs were you using the CAD system and stuff? I actually did that in like high school. They let us play with it.
Yeah, so that was graphic design at TrueFit whenever I was starting out, and then. When I went to college for initially graphic design and then switched to something called industrial design, which is a little bit bigger and more complicated. So graphic design is like making images and pictures and maybe a little bit of video, like social media stuff. Industrial design is understanding how a product or a service connects with the market, connects with the people who are going to buy it. So you kind of zoom that whole thing really big. How do you build a brand that people identify with? How do you build a product that actually solves problems for people? How do you build a digital interface software that is easy to use and doesn't add extra effort to the process of building something? So I started working in a software firm when I was young, and then went to school for industrial design, which helped me get a broader perspective of how that applied not only to the software side of things, but the full business side of things.
Were you teaming up a lot with like marketing teams and departments? So that sounds like a lot like branding.
Branding's a big element.
Yeah.
So our professor had this line. He's like, industrial design is a combination of engineering. So what are all the nitpicky pieces that make this thing function properly, whether it be software or hardware? Marketing, which is helping people understand that it exists, and business, which is making it function and run as a company. So
interesting.
That's what my degree was in, essentially. And here we are now.
What made you get into? How did Pose come about?
So Pose was an effort of my original co-founder and I. He was coming out of Navy OCS, and we were both getting into fitness. I was not actually super athletic growing up. We did some things and I was athletic enough, but it's not like I was like on the football team or the star of the football team or anything like that.
Fooled me.
It took time. It's a lot of time and effort.
Time. Progress.
So let me think. So he was coming back off of OCS, and we had got our hands on Nick Bare's Embrace the Suck, Army Ranger inspired 10-week build program. And we were like, let's do it.
If you're going to do it, you might as well do it right?
And somehow I always end up talking about this because it's kind of the inception of the product. But we were standing in a squat rack in Sewickley, PA, in the YMCA. And he wanted the program wanted us to do 225 squats for 10 by 10s, German volume training.
GVT, bro.
And I've
Monsters.
not properly squatted ever at that point. I didn't know what good form was. I was like, okay, I can put some weight on my shoulders and move it around. But 10 by 10s, I'm going to hurt myself, especially if we're going to do this twice a week for 10 weeks. So the question in our mind was like, how do we know how to do this properly? How do we build a program or an understanding of this particular program that wasn't going to get us hurt and was going to generate the strength? Because out of OCS, I was like, okay, I really need to get stronger.
Yeah.
So, and I was in a like, hey, we're starting this interesting fitness company. I would like to be better at it. My family's very health conscious and they always have been. Like my grandma used a nutritional diet to cure herself from cancer 3 different times. So,
dude, that's
so
awesome.
Instead of getting chemo, instead of getting radiation, she like changed her diet. She cut out sugar entirely. She took all these supplements and things, and she's still around.
That's good, dude. Interesting thing about diet and nutrition. I'm not the biggest health conscious when it comes to diet. I admit it. Something I struggle with. I've talked about like how food addiction is a real thing, dude. It requires discipline. But on that note, I have a buddy of mine. He's been on Ash. He's been on this healthy dude, and very, very health conscious with diet and nutrition. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. Oof. And it's incurable. But the doctors gave him a goal, and dude eats. He's always eating healthy, but dialed in his diet, what he's putting in. Like he broke my heart about Chipotle. He's like, dude, the oils that they use and this and that, and told me this entire like what's in a Chipotle bowl. You look at a Chipotle bowl, you're like, I'm gonna get fucking sued, fuck you. But you look at a Chipotle bowl, you're like, oh, it's rice, healthy, beans, healthy, chicken or steak, healthy, lettuce, but the way they prepare it, it's not the healthiest. So he's dialed in his diet, and when he went to different states to get this treatment, he actually like dude, we wanted you here. You're like double or triple past where we wanted you, because of his diet. And he actually came back early. Now that's a process he's always going to have to do, but diet and nutrition is huge. I haven't even announced this, but I tore my meniscus. I do what you're supposed to do. You go to the doctor. They do imaging. They do all this. You meet a surgeon. He's like, this is your surgery date. We'll call you the day before to tell you a time to show up. Don't eat from midnight the day before. And that was it. So I started talking to the people I had. I mentioned Liam, and he's with Totem. And he's like, we got doctors. We got, we partner with a lot of people. And so I reached out to him. I'm like, man, let me entertain this. He set me up with his guys, and they're like, oh, dude, they had a whiteboard of different supplements I should be taking. They talked about collagen and how important collagen is.
I was going to ask you if you were on collagen. That's awesome.
Day two of collagen.
Right now,
dude.
Well, congratulations. Your journey is just beginning.
Dude, the texture, bro. I put it in tea. And
interesting.
And I'm like, because they said in any beverage of your choice. So I'm like, I'm answering emails and I'm stirring it. And I like lift the spoon and there's just like blob of white. I'm like, dude, is my tea bad?
Oh, I just put it in my protein shake, man.
Well, that's what I'm gonna start doing. So I start Googling like, what is this? And I realize where collagen is derived from, and when it mixes with certain liquids, that's one of the effects. But so totally good. Anyway, see, off track. But so they were telling me about these certain things I'm supposed to be taking to push fluid, and how blood to the joints, like the older you get, the less blood you get there, which is why doctors tend to just like do a surgery to remove it instead of repair it, because most people don't have the blood there, which isn't pushing the proper nutrients to repair it. So they're just like, we're going to have to remove it eventually. So we'll just remove it now.
I think it's important to remember that the healthcare industry is a business, because they're not here to give you the best thing for you. They're here to give you the best thing for them to make money. And they try to care for people, and even employees within the system. There are doctors who care and there are nurses who care, but the system as a whole was built by people who want to make money.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's one thing I've definitely had in mind when I was talking to them. Like, and then they explained to me, like, look, these surgeons do, like, your surgery is going to be 30 minutes. How many of these surgeries are they doing a day? Like, if they took the time, I was on the phone with them for like an hour. If they took the time to speak with every one of their patients like this, there'll be no time for surgeries.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that makes sense. They were telling me about all these supplements and stuff to take to push nutrients there, they were telling me about certain peptides that the doctors around here are using. Regeneration Pittsburgh, I just got hold of that. I'm like, holy shit, you're telling me like there's a possibility like my meniscus can like heal enough that they don't have to remove it? They just trim some stuff off, and they're like, absolutely.
Well, and removing your meniscus is now a lifelong thing that you have to deal with, because you're not going to get another one. And for whatever silly reason, they haven't figured out how to make a synthetic meniscus yet. It's a pad between your bones. Like,
a little rubber stopper, man.
Conceptually, that's not complicated. Like,
dude,
put a pad in there. You ever see those little like makeup things? I started dating recently, and so like I've seen that, but like,
I thought you got dolled up for the show,
little
man.
makeup round. Gotta look good, right?
Hey, my makeup artist is over there.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So a little like makeup round is like a little flat circular cloth thing. If you made that out of like biocompatible rubber or something like that, and we're able to like put it in the knee in between the two bones, and it's not going to break down, even if you had to get it replaced in 30 years or 20 years, I don't know. It's kind of worth it.
You may be onto something.
I'm claiming the intellectual property on that here, just for the record.
He's into that.
I'm patenting it, so don't.
But why? Now you got me thinking. Why isn't there something they can take ACLs from cadavers and transplant them and stuff like? But why? Like,
so there's got to be. I always think whenever there's something that easy to come up with that they're not doing, there's got to be some sort of like financial restraint that makes it too much effort to be worth it. And so they'd rather just cut it out of you. Maybe that means you have to come back for 3 or 4 or 5 more visits for other things because they've done the surgery now. That makes them more money, rather than doing the thing that's going to fix you and make you never need to come back.
I need to get a doctor, like a doctor in here. Dude,
you should. That'd be fascinating.
Dude, that's why I wanted you on here, because like you're talking about all this tech stuff and stuff like that. I like to think I'm tech savvy, so I talk to someone like you and I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, yeah. Oh hell, like what the fuck does that mean?
Well, and I'm the design guy. The engineers that I get to work with, even my dad, who's our CTO, he's building the platform, right? Like, I come up with this, it's going to work this way, and here's what the military folks have asked us for, and here's what the fitness folks have asked us for, and here's how I think it should come together. And then he's on the back end on his computer making it exist. And there's so much that goes into that. There's all these libraries and connective tissue that needs to be built on the software end. And the crazy thing about the software world is, just like your phone updates once a month, right?
Well, with Apple, it's like every other week, and then it crashes.
Right, exactly. But with software that you use to build these programs, each one of the individual pieces is updating however often. So if one updates and is now incompatible with the rest of the system that you've built, it breaks, and you have to go fix it. And you have to maintain each of these systems individually, which is why it's so expensive to build a big, robust software company. So figuring out where to start is the hardest part.
So where did you guys start with Pose? Obviously the idea, but how did the actual like tracking, like was that always a goal of Pose, or did you guys start with let's create a platform where we can have like, because to me it'd be like a lot of people use mirrors, right? And they record themselves.
Yeah.
You know, there's no app where you can put all your data in and kind of type in how you felt. Like there's apps that track your workout, and then there's apps that track your nutrition, and then there's nothing cohesive that kind of puts it all together. That would have been a good opportunity for you guys to be like, boom, this is going to be an app where everyone can upload their libraries, and we're going to focus on form. We're going to push people. You guys took it to the next level. Like, how did that come about?
So the body tracking was actually the first differentiating feature we came up with. So we were standing in the squat rack in Sewickley, and we did research on like YouTube videos, how to do the right form. There's like 100,000 videos. I'm not going to go fish through all of them to find the right one that works perfectly for me. And I don't have enough knowledge to decide which one's right for me anyway at that point. So we did that. We looked up personal trainer costs. It's like, I was just out of college, $200 a month. I'm like, can't even afford it. Like,
It's pricey now.
right. So, and it's even more expensive than that now. But, and then the third thing we did was like look for other apps and see what was out there. And there were a lot of like logging your workout apps. And there was always the big ones with the celebrity that says, this is my app, use my app, blah, blah, blah. And then you go into it and it's super duper basic and it's like a PDF to scroll through or something like that.
It's an app with PDF. There's something that's a pet peeve of mine.
Like, don't make it
Don't say it's a
big
app.
deal and hype it up and get me to pay $15 a month if there's not much going on with it. So I think that the thing that was important to us was finding a differentiator in the market that didn't exist at that point. Now, there are several companies in the market now who are doing body tracking. Body tracking has been established as like the next wave of fitness. I mean, you talk about Whoop bands and Apple Watches and all these things that are already doing the majority of fitness tracking. They can do VO2 max, HRV, sleep, nutrition, everything.
They're different types of tracking, though.
So the question is, what data can you get access to? So each different device or each different software collects different types of data. And even within the body tracking realm, each different body tracking company is able to collect and release or display a different type of data that's more or less usable depending on who the audience is. Does that make sense? So if I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I have a product that's giving me physical therapy data, the data that I'm getting is probably not accessible to Joe Schmo off the street because he's not a doctor of physical therapy. Like he doesn't have all the scientific research. He doesn't have all the background of how the body works and anatomy and all these things. So our goal is to take something that could be super duper advanced data-wise, super duper scientific, and make it accessible to the general public so that everybody can have that in their pocket in a way that's usable.
How easy has it been? Like, do you guys utilize third-party data, like, for example, Apple or something like that? How easy is it for those companies to release that to you guys? Or is that something they keep to themselves because it's their intellectual property?
There's a lot of lines there. We have some stuff that we want to keep as our intellectual property, obviously. And there's a bunch of other companies in between there. But one of the things that I'm actually learning lately is that partnerships are superpowers. You can never, you can't boil the ocean on your own. That's not even what that phrase is. But
Dude, I've never heard that. I like that one.
But you have to have strong alliances with people. So one of the past government contracts that we did in the fall, we got into X-Tech with the Army and actually went down to Texas and demoed our product for a whole bunch of people like Army, Special Forces folks and stuff like that. We saw probably 800-900 people in a day. But shoot, I lost where I was going with it.
Happened to me last episode. I went on a rant I was going to
I was going to come back around.
So about third parties and releasing information.
Partnerships. Yeah. So when we were writing the proposal for that, like they were like, "Oh, how are you going to do all the military integration?" Which means like taking it on base, getting it in soldiers' hands, making sure they understand how to use it, and actually start using it, so that they don't download it, get confused, get pissed, and then quit, because then your project's failed.
Yeah.
So we were like, "Well, I don't know how to do that," and we have a little bit of experience with base. Like with bases and with military through some of our other team members and some of our other partners. But like, as far as rolling out a full scale software product on a base in the middle of like a training operation or something like that, no clue. So we actually have a partner in Pittsburgh that knows how to do that. And so they came in and they take that responsibility off the plan. And when you're dealing with big government contract proposals, like, I'm not worried about giving away 5% of the project. Who cares? It's a ton of money. Like, we'll be okay. So, and it's an opportunity to build a more robust project plan that's more likely to succeed, that will lead to more business. So we have a partner that does the military integration. We have a partner that does human performance data engines, which is really cool. So like the artificial intelligence side of fitness data, all of the different movements, all of the different types of data that you could possibly track. They have an AI model that can process and organize that. And they're probably going to laugh at the way that I described that because it's way cooler.
I mean, it sounds cool to me. I'm saying, dude, I usually do all the talking. I love when I can just sit back and just digest, man.
Well, and that's like another one that I'm digesting as well. So there's a lot there. And then with the current project that we're working on with the Air Force, our partner is like another media company. So they're helping with this whole recruitment problem that the military is having right now. Do you know the military recruitment numbers are down like 40%?
I can only imagine why.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of different reasons that we can or might not want to go into. But
I did not commit suicide.
No, that's
I got to say that on the podcast. But
yeah, but it's super interesting. So their mission is to help objectify the training process, because one of the challenges that they have in these general physical fitness tests in the Air Force is that you'll get a commanding officer, somebody who's implementing the test, a master trainer, who for whatever reason just doesn't like the guy who he's testing, and he'll just fail him because there's some sort of bias in the way. And on top of 40% down recruitment numbers, any sort of thing that's going to cause somebody to not pass for no good reason is unnecessary, right? So if you can figure out how to objectify the process, remove the subjectivity of that person who's watching, and use a digital system to track and manage all that data, now you can create a situation that's trustworthy across all of the physical fitness testing, across all of the Air Force and or whatever branch of the military decides to use it, and increase those rates of recruitment and physical fitness test passes, basically.
And it's a consistent way to evaluate, because I'm not sure what the Air Force's specific test is, but for policing, we have certain batteries that we run, and like my evaluation can be different than my partner's evaluation in the sense of when we're doing DT techniques. Let's do that. Like it's pass, fail, or needs more work. What I determine needs more work may not be what this person determines needs more work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can be like, oh, he passed it to a satisfactory level. Well, what is a satisfactory level? There's no, well, you do this move and this move. There's none of that. You know what I mean? It's very subjective. And you guys, it sounds like you guys are removing as much of the subjectivity to make it more consistent throughout the board.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
I'm on the line of like how far I want to go down this road because none of it's solid yet.
Spill the secrets.
Right. Like none of it's solid yet. So we still have to kind of design this and work with them on how exactly that project's going to come in. But the way that I see it is, let's say you have to do a test to hit a standard to continue on, right? Is that how the police works?
Yeah. So let's go with. We'll start with a run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have gotten to tracking running, but let's pretend you did. I can only imagine. Everyone's running form is different. And let's say you've developed...
When it's moving, right? So how do I get the phone to follow somebody?
You gotta have someone running with them.
I got like a single frame and you go bloop, and there you go.
It's like based on that metric, this is how they're moving. They should complete this within this time.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet, but then I would just
treadmill is a solution. Right? Like you can put them on the treadmill and then you can track form on the treadmill. But I don't think the treadmill form is the same as your road form.
No, but you know what I just learned? You know those treads that are like curved and they're self-propelled?
What are those called? Form tracks or something like that?
Sure.
That could be a random name that I just came up with in my head.
He's also patenting that. But if it's not.
If it is, I'm sorry.
I've read online that's one of the most accurate forms of running because you're pushing, like you would be on the road, you're propelling yourself, whereas a treadmill, the fuck do you call that?
Tread.
The tread.
I'm not trying to be snarky.
No, the tread is moving, and you're essentially kind of like staying in the same spot, like your body's moving, but with that other form, you're actually moving the tread.
Have you ever tried to stop on one of those?
Yeah, I busted my ass. No, we have
the
one
first
at the
time I
station.
stopped, I was like, how do I stop? And then luckily there's the handbars. I just kind of like
pick
myself up.
Our department bought one,
Yeah.
put it in the gym that we have, and I was by myself. I'm like, oh, I've never tried one of these. I'm so glad no one was around that I got up, brushed off. I was like, I'm going to go back to the free weight section because I don't run if you couldn't tell. Shocker, I know. But it's tough because you have to learn the form of running on that specific thing. So yeah, maybe running on one of those is a good way. I know a lot of athletes do that. They'll put the O2 monitors, and that's how they'll test their oxygen intake while they're running and a lot of stuff. So tracking is already happening on that platform. That's cool.
Yeah, have you looked into VO2 Max a lot?
So I always see them on the fitness apps that I track. You know, when I had an Apple Watch, now I have the Garmin, and it has that capability. I just don't know how to make it work. There's
Well,
like
it's
certain,
crazy because it's like a lung capacity thing. So how are they checking VO2 on
Yeah.
a mask? That's like the things that I've seen are like a thing that you wear, and then you breathe into it, and it's like a scientific rig basically.
Okay.
And there's more and more minimal ones as I've seen them come out. But Whoop just announced that they're going to be doing
How?
the VO2 max. That I'm curious, right? You're a tech guy. I have no idea how they're doing that. I assume there's some sort of, heart rate and maybe pulse level. I don't know what those. I don't know.
Like,
how.
is there a way to sense like the oxygen in your blood through like some sort of light?
I mean, maybe. I feel like even my Apple Watch, I don't have it on right now, has the like light that goes in, and I don't know how
Little
that
sensors.
works. But
And I've used
that's wild.
And then I've used the is it electromagnetic, the like on the treadmills and stuff. And
Yeah.
they're similar. They're accurate. They're usually off by a couple numbers, but I'm like, how do they do this? That stuff intrigues me so much. How technology and how far things have come, and we're now at the cusp. Like when the new AI is the big thing now. Like 10 years ago, you never heard of AI, but technology was like, oh, dude, look where we're at. 10 years down the road, now we have AI. Now Apple's releasing AI. Everyone's releasing AI. AI is the big thing now. So
Well, and there's
continued
different
movement.
levels of AI.
There's
too.
levels to this
There's
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the difference between like a ChatGPT language model that's like going to listen to anything you say and do whatever it can, versus taking an isolated group of data and being able to do something specific with it. That's more what we're doing.
So is that all similar? Like, is AI, and you just use this portion of AI? Like, how does that? Like,
You're going to get into the realm of I'm not the expert at that part. AI is it's a massive topic. So you can either like the AI like ChatGPT, from my understanding, will reference everything that's on the internet or everything that it can legally get access to come up with a solution that's essentially an average of all of the applicable topics, right? So I've just been messing around with the Dolly image generator that's on ChatGPT, and I'll literally type in fitness app that includes a body tracker, that includes a video library, that includes like blah 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 blah, whatever, and it'll spit back an image that looks very similar. Do you want to see them? Like,
yeah,
I literally have them on my
Do
phone.
I want to see them?
Yeah.
So I was messing with stuff like that too, and I had a producer on here, Dominic Porcari, and he started talking about how AI ties into the film industry, and like how people are up in arms about like, is AI art? Is it not art? And he had an interesting point of view in the sense of like, AI can't feel. It's not sentient. It's literally just pulling what it can. But we as people, and it was like, will AI replace whatever? And he was talking about how like art is an expression of the artist and how people connect with that, and how AI pulls all this stuff together, but you may not necessarily connect with that image or that video that it produces.
It misses the spiritual element of anything that you do. And we live in a world right now that's very focused on science and math and logic, and we like that a lot, but we've got away from the spiritual and even like the mystical. Like, you and I, the fact that we can meet the first time right now and jump on a podcast and have this fluid of a conversation means that you and I have some sort of connection that works, right? And that's not mathematical.
Yeah, how do you put a number on that?
Right, there's no way to put a number on it. There's no way to quantify it. You can't put your arms around it. It's a ability of two minds to work together. And I think with AI, it's interesting because you've now mathematized everything as much as you can, but that doesn't mean that there's not more out there. So as AI begins to replace things, it'll allow humans to do things that are more creatively focused, like truly creatively focused, which I think that's actually really neat. It'll take, if we build it the right way, Elon Musk and all the Apple guys, come on, if we build it the right way, it will handle the mundane and allow us to handle the divine.
Ooh, dude. Like AI can serve its purpose. And like you're talking about putting numbers, we as people have become so fixated with science, right? But like what is science? Science is knowledge to me. That's like, science is knowledge and proving. Well, how do you prove loyalty? Treat them good. Okay, what is that?
Track record.
Put that, yeah, track record. But okay, if I lie to you about my diet, am I breaking our loyalty? Some can argue yes, if that's something that's very important to you. Some can argue no. I don't care about diets. But like,
But
if
you lying to me about your diet doesn't affect me. Right?
Or does it?
It affects you.
If you care about me so much, that's important to me because of my. How
now,
does
if
AI?
if I'm your nutrition coach, and you lie to me about your diet, that's a different situation, because now you've paid me to be mad about it.
How do you track that? Do you see what I mean? Like,
know.
AI can never
Yeah.
fully grasp it. And people, I see this argument online all the time. And I'd like to get into the Reddit threads and stuff and like listen, because people have amazing arguments on both sides. And I've always tried to be that guy of like, there's a topic at hand, getting as much information on both sides so I can come up with my own and then apply it to how I feel, how it'll impact me. And I love these arguments because, like, will AI take over? Can it?
Yeah.
Maybe the mundane stuff, but it can't truly take over.
Outside of AI, what you just said is so key that so many people need to understand. If you hear a topic, you take time to look at all the things around it, combine those into your own opinion to have your own opinion. That doesn't happen nowadays.
Oh, dude,
you're
I know.
like, oh, there's a topic, and this person told me to think this way about it. That's it. We're done.
I like this
We need to
person.
quit doing that.
Dude, I agree.
Everybody needs to quit doing that.
Same thing with like in the fitness world, right? Like, there's so many arguments for one thing, you know? And it's just like, take all the knowledge that you can, as much as you can, apply it to your life, how it impacts you, and then go off that. And it stayed as opinion. It's not fact. The problem is people will take opinion and try to make it fact. Like, I was just reading something. What was I just reading about? I love to read like factual stuff, fiction stuff. I don't like to read like books and stuff. But the argument was about, here goes this thing where my fucking brain goes. Let's say like chest presses, right? There's fascia training where you're stretching it. You know, people are like, oh, you got to do partial reps. And then there's people who are like, you got to do the full rep. Then there's people with perfect form is what's going to get you. Then there's people, you got to do, everyone has their opinion on something and no one's actually reading the studies. Well, if you read the studies, both are beneficial for different things.
100%. And I feel like we get into the world where like, we just want to be better than everybody else and we want to go in and judge, and that's the easy thing to do. But like, don't assume that you know more than the person that you're judging.
Or just don't judge.
You can't.
Offer your opinion if you
Have
want.
curiosity instead. What if you see somebody doing something weird, and instead of being like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, you go in and be like, dude, what is that? Like, I haven't seen that before. Now you've not only created a connection with another person, but you've learned something that you didn't know before.
That's how I got into FST7, fascial stretch training. There's this guy who came up with this thing. After every set, he would do 7 partials to like pump blood into his whatever he's working out. And I caught the dude at the time where he was doing these partials, and it was curls. And I was young and dumb. I'm looking at that and I'm doing like, not even 1 rep, bro. And
what are we now if you were young and dumb then?
I'm still young and dumb, but
still young and dumb.
I'm talking about the younger, dumber.
All right.
I'm a little older and
Fair
a little
enough.
more wiser. But I caught that 2 seconds, judged, went about my day. Then I catch him again, and then I see he's fucking repping 60s, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, he's about that life. And then I see him at the end, boom, partials. So now I'm sitting there watching this dude, and he's doing that with everything, and his fucking arms like doubled in size during that workout.
Oh wow, like
So
his
I
pump
went up-
was just huge.
Just enormous. So I went up to him. I'm like, hey, bro, like, what the fuck are you doing? We got to talking. He told me about this, and I found the dude's program and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to implement this, bro. My arms were thick and juicy.
You
But
guys send me something about that. I want to read that.
I believe
And
it's called FST7.
My brother will love that too.
Fascia stretch training.
FST7.
Look it up. There's this guy.
I'm writing it down. I'm not losing it.
Who he like studied this and then started implementing this with his clients. And it's like supposed to pump blood. But perfect example of, we like to judge something based off of what we believe we know at that moment. Most people would look at that, judge, and walk away. You would have
Right.
never learned that opportunity. How many times do we do that in life? We see something, we judge it, bounce, never give it the opportunity, or even have a conversation with someone, and you lose. There's so much opportunity to learn, and even if it's what not to do, there's always opportunities to learn.
Well, that's the cool thing about the fitness industry that I really like. You know, you get into situations like Planet Fitness and even Crunch have like some verbiage around like no judgment zones. And I don't necessarily like that approach to it, but like we don't need to be tearing each other down. We got enough shit in the world tearing each other down right now. And everybody's life is their own thing and they have their own problems. Like when we're doing stuff together, we might as well be building each other up. And the gym is an awesome place to do that. You can go in, you can look at somebody, you can judge them, say, hey, they don't know what they're doing, or they're not as far along as they should be, or maybe their form's shit or something like that, and you can judge them on that. Or you can go in, you can have a genuine conversation with another human being, you can ask them about what's going on in their life, and maybe there's 10 things that you had no idea were going on, or they have some doctor-level knowledge that you never even knew about you could get from that. So the initial judgment of somebody that you don't know is, in my head, a missed opportunity. Like, why would you do that?
I try to talk to as many people as I can. I'm sure some people are frustrated. Like, no matter where I'm at, and I say this all the time, people are like, "Oh, here we go again." But like, if I say, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" I'm asking. If you say, "Oh, good," and I'm always diving deeper, dude. Like when I'm at the bars or at a restaurant, like, dude, me and like the server will talk for like 20 minutes, and then she's like, "Oh," or he's like, "Oh, dude, I forgot, I gotta get going." I'm like, "Oh no, you're good." Like, but you can learn from everyone, man. Like the last conversation I had with a server, dude it was like 10 of us, took every one of our orders, and just looked at us. He's like, "Okay," and I'm like, "At what point is he gonna take his book out?" Okay. Repeated everyone's orders. He's like, "All right, I'll be right back with your drinks." Leaves. Not one thing was wrong. I'm like, dude, how do you do that?
Wow.
And he was talking about something he bought online that helps you with retain memory by grouping. So he was grouping the foods with like something you were wearing. So like if you ordered pasta, you had a black shirt, you ordered another type of pasta. He also had, so he was grouping the black shirts with the pasta. He explained it a lot better than I am, but it was like some sort of grouping. And he was able to do that with everyone's orders and tie it to something. So when he came back, he would see the black shirt that would bring back pasta. He didn't have that pasta. He had that pasta. I was just like, holy shit, dude.
Because once you group it into pasta, it's easy to deduct who had what pasta.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm going between 3 instead of 10 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get it. Yeah. Dude, but I'm sitting there like, dude, my memory sucks.
Oh, mine's terrible.
I would just try
have
to
too
remember
many things floating around.
I'd be like, the first thing is this, and I'd go down. The second thing is this, and I'd go down. That's a lot of data. But if you're able, let's talk tech. If you're able to group your data, imagine if you just had a data dump of your software, like no grouping, just like this is all the information we got. You'd look at it, you'd be like, what am I looking at? Like I am behind this thing and I still don't know what I'm looking at. But it's like, hey, this is all the form. I don't even know how your shit comes out, but like
the squat data,
the squat
and the
data.
data.
This is the pull-up data. So you're seeing this. You're like, oh, this number is usually tied to this muscle group because this is the pattern we see in this. You're able to digest it and dissect it better. Yeah. That's what he did with memory,
with food, with ordering for people.
But like, what else can you apply that to?
Yeah, be kind of like, dude, where did you learn that, and how do I get my hands on it?
Well, he said it was $50, which also reminds me when I was at GST training, the instructors. We had 110 people in our group. They remembered by lunchtime. They remembered every single person's name and who they were grouped with, their partner.
Wow.
Ivandro, he has. I'm not even gonna try the last name because I don't want to get it wrong. But Ivandro was our main instructor. He created this system online. He also sells it for. Maybe this dude used his memory shit. Now that I think about it. Oh wow,
that'd be crazy.
Dude, full circle.
Small world.
So he created this thing on how to memorize everything. He has a system online, and that's how he remembered. And dude, he went through. He's like, Ish, Jessica, Matt, your partner is Mike, John J, John S, and he just like literally went through every student and got it. And I'm like, holy fuck, hi.
I'm the guy who like walks into the room like, hi, I'm Andy, good to meet you. You're like, I'm Ish, and I'm like, what was your name again? I don't know that's not even a memory issue. I don't think. I think that's like a
distraction issue.
Yeah,
that's what I've been told. It's a distraction issue.
The ADD problem.
You're already into the conversation, and you're like, hold on, wait, what was your name? So what I do, someone told me this: when you introduce yourself to someone, say their name 3 times immediately.
That's
So
the first
hey,
thing.
hey, what's up? What's your name?
Andy.
Andy. What's up, Andy? Nice to meet you. Andy, where are you from?
Oh, you say in conversation.
Yeah,
3
in
times.
conversation.
That's cool.
You say it like you're not just gonna say Andy, Andy, Andy. He's like, what the fuck is
Well,
wrong
that's
with
good.
this
That probably builds some social bonds too.
So
That's
and
cool.
then you remember it. So when you're like you already said it 3 or 4 times in a couple seconds.
It's like immediate practice.
Yeah. So I try to do that.
Okay, so let's
the pictures.
loop around here to AI apps. So these were created just with like a less than 50 word prompt. And it's really, really similar and maybe even more advanced than the UX that we created on our own. Isn't that crazy? Like they referenced all of the keywords: fitness, body tracking, mobile app, mock-up.
See, my stuff never comes out this good.
Yeah. It's all, so there's prompt engineering is a whole thing. You know that, right? Like there are people who get paid $100,000 a year to do prompt engineering.
Duh, I knew that. Yeah.
That's crazy. You imagine
I
your
didn't know that.
job is to type the proper words into ChatGPT and hit enter.
So I noticed you were like that, da da da, that, da da da, that. Like you worded it a certain way.
Yeah. So it was a. Let me think about how I said this. It was build me a mobile app mock-up of a fitness app that includes body tracking, video playback library, statistics, and a user profile and a trainer profile.
Can I show this?
Yeah. Put it up.
So
Here, I'll put it.
either or. So your app is very similar to that. That's cool.
That's an AI mock-up of the app, but
Yeah, it's. I've seen.
I have 50 of these. Like,
Oh, well, I like the color one.
yeah. So I said literally all I typed there was off of one of the other prompts. I said add yellow undertones, and it does that. Same stuff.
That's ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. That's the full version of ChatGPT.
$40 version. How do I know?
Oh no, it's like $20 a month.
Oh,
I think I have a $20 a month
I
version.
got gypped then.
Yeah.
About 40 for the year. I'm like, damn, I got
$40 for the year is
Yeah.
good. That's better than what I got. Mine's $20 a month.
That's what I'm saying. You probably got the unlocked version. I got the version. We're here.
Before they charge you something. Yeah.
So, what is the mission and the vision of like you talk about? It's this huge thing, this huge idea. What is the goal? Well, like, what if you can put the goal into layman's terms for our viewers? Obviously, not for the host, because the host understands everything you're saying, but for the people listening, what is the goal? What is the vision of Pose?
So it's changed over the years. I mean, we originally started with super focused body tracking, but then we realized that by itself is hard to bring to market. Like the chances of people actually just using body tracking only are really, really low. And you would have to find super niche, like technical audiences to just pull that into some other system. Basically, it was the only way you're going to make money with that. And the big thing for me, like, you know, I talked about my grandma curing the cancer with a nutritional diet.
Amen.
I went from a not athletic person, found fitness, fell in love with it, and now I'm pretty in shape. I'm not the most in shape guy, but like I feel healthy. I have a healthy lifestyle. I have a healthy nutrition structure that I go by, and I'm flexible and can enjoy my life at the same time. So
Rub that in my face. Flexibility.
no, not actually
like-
physically flexible, but flexible with like dieting. Like, so
Okay.
if I want to go have a cheeseburger or pizza, whatever, like I'm cool to do that, and I'm not going to be worried about gaining all this weight. So part of it is that plus the mental benefits that come with that should be accessible to everybody. And we live in a world where the government is not pushing physical fitness or good diets. We live in a world where the food industry is actually trying to harm us, not help us. And the medical industry is waiting in the wakes to pull that all in and make money off of it. So it's nobody's responsibility but our own to build a good fitness, nutrition, and health lifestyle for ourselves and the people around us. So the app is aimed at increasing the accessibility of that to people. So that's gigantic, right? How do we start small? Body tracking is one way. People are getting injured. People aren't able to pass their physical fitness tests in the military, but also you think about movement assessments for going to the gym or physical therapy or anything, chiropractics, right? So there's a lot of basic things that we can do to understand step one for people. to help them get to step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're in the process of building step 1 right now, which really will be like steps 1 through 5. And then there's, hopefully we get to step 1,000 someday. But the shift that we made, so we started with body tracking, and that was really the product that we were building that was unique. We learned very quickly that it was going to be essential to have like a program builder, standard app functionality of like, hey, if I can't manage my workouts day to day and do the body tracking, I'm never going to use this product. So we started building that in. And then I submitted like probably 10 government contracts to different groups for there's things called SBIRs, which are small business innovation research grants, which you can get like $250,000 to $1.5 million of funding. And we're trying to get non-dilutive funding as a startup. Don't give away your equity to investors who just want to make money off of it. So
no Shark Tank.
No Shark Tank. No, I've been told to go on Shark Tank a couple times, and I'm like, the deal wouldn't be good. And I'm like open to working with investors, but the ones that I have talked to, I haven't found a deal that's like, I haven't found a deal that's respectful of the bigger vision. So
ain't that tough, man? When you see something, you see the whole road, and the people who you want to bring on only see the next stop, and you're like, there's so much more to this.
Well, and they're like, oh, we can make $1 million with this. It's like, what if we can make 100? And I don't know how to get to 100. But I'm not going to sell that potential for only one, because nowadays that doesn't get you very far.
How about you help me get to, let's get to 100.
Yeah. So I've learned I've had more luck working with people and creating mutually beneficial like business partnerships, percent splits on a certain project, or one of the things that we're developing that'll come out eventually is an ambassador program. So every profile that is on the app will have a code. It'll be like #ish Lopez or something like that. And you'd be able to go tell your friends with that code.
Save that code, because it will be a thing.
Not a novel idea, right? But the people on our app, and I'm going to put a number out there because it's risky, but it's what we're going to do.
Hey, I'm all
the
about
people
risk.
on our app will make 30% commission month over month on every license that they sign up with their code. So it's a $20 a month license, the way we have it priced right now. For a general user account, it's a $100 a month license. For a trainer account, you get different features in both accounts and kind of more in the trainer side of things. It's more of a business level account. But if you were to go sign up 10 of your friends, you're going to make $6 of that $20 a month per friend per month in perpetuity. So it's not just the first month, it's every month. As long as you were a partner of our company and helped us build the community that we're hoping to build, we believe that we should partner with you respectfully and help you build a business as well. And this applies really basically for general people who have general accounts. You could at least get 4 friends to sign up and pay for your $20 a month profile, right? So now you're using the app for free. You're actually making $4 a month on the app. You're still going to pay it, but you also have more money coming in the door, right? But for somebody who has 10,000 people on social media and can sign up 10%, 1,000.
We did it at the same time.
Yeah, somebody who can sign up 10%, $6,000 a month, right? So now you not only have created environment and ecosystems to build a good fitness lifestyle, but you've also created a community ecosystem where people can make respectable amounts of money for themselves and their friends by creating community. And so the money flow all happens within that system.
You're essentially partnering
with every individual user. And, some users won't use it. Some users will never share their code. But some users, somebody who has $1 million people on social media, maybe.
That's genius.
Maybe. So that's a really good opportunity that provides value to any partner that we ever get to go to, because it grows their business while it helps us grow our business. And I think that's I think there's a moral obligation to doing that when you're in business. There's not.
I'm glad you said it.
Taking advantage of everybody that you possibly could do business with is a short-term strategy, not a long-term strategy.
Since we like metaphors involving bodies of water, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Lifts all ships. Yeah.
And I that's literally something I practice in my life. Like, if I could tell you how many logos I've designed for people for free,
Right?
for free because I believe in this business and this idea they're doing, bro, people are like, you'll never get. That's why I believe that's why God's never made me rich, because I'd give away all my money to people and I'd be left with nothing. I truly believe
That's
it. 'Cause
interesting.
I'm always. I've had a couple people on this show who are like, "Hey, can you design me a logo?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got you," because I believe in your brand. I believe in what you're doing. I'm not asking for anything. You know what the payment is when you're pursuing what you love wholeheartedly, relentlessly. Plug. When you're pursuing that, you're about that, you're doing that, and you're able to give back to someone else. Dude, you can't put. We talk about metrics and you can't put a dollar amount on that.
No.
You can never put a dollar amount on that.
Well, and that's that, like, not to go back to it, but that's that, like, working in the divine, working in the spiritual realm. You are helping people help people.
It'll come back.
And you're building an environment, you're building a community and an ecosystem of people who want to go do that for other people. There was this, let's see, what was his line? So I worked at a brewery a while ago. I worked there for 2 years, and when you work at a brewery like 3 days a week, you get to know all the regulars. And there's this guy, Kevin. I love him to death. He's like one of my favorites, and I still go hang out with him every once in a while. He's this Irish dude in his 60s. He's got this awesome, like, mohawk that he grows, and he got one of the things that we did was strength and honor. So instead of like a handshake, it was the whole way into the forearm, strength and honor. And so we would do that all the time.
I start doing that to people. They're gonna look at me like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it was strength and honor, and it's just so we did that all the time. But where was I going with that? I did it again.
Good people creating an ecosystem.
So we would work for, like, we'd have like 6-hour shifts or whatever, and he would come in and he would tip us ridiculous amounts. He would tip us like $100 for the night or something. Like, we didn't deserve it. He just liked us. We had a good time, and he would buy us pizza and all this stuff. And I was like, "Kevin, I'm not charging you for your beer, dude. Like, you tipped us too much." And he'd be like, "Pay it forward." He's like, "I don't want anything back for this. Go give it to somebody else." And he was adamant about that, and he still is. Like, you go talk to him, and he'll go off about it to you. And I think it's a really cool mentality, especially in the world that we live in now. Like, we need more pay it forward, less going and yelling at random people about things that don't matter.
Dude, it's so true. I mean, and I get it. Like, I try to approach people where they may be at, because I was that guy. I was that guy. I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and I wasn't processing things appropriately. And there were people who extended an olive branch. They gave me the time of day. So who am I to not do that for someone else when I'm here today because of the conversations I've had, because of the sacrifices people have made, because of the continuous pursuit that people did to get me out of what I was doing?
Absolutely.
Who would I be to get out of that and then just be like, "Yeah, thanks, later"? Like, I owe it to everyone else because of what was done to me. That's how I feel.
Well, and because you experienced it, you can't even imagine not paying it forward.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
because
I feel so
you've
guilty.
elevated to a different plane.
Yeah,
and I think
sure.
there's a lot of people who feel like they're alone and don't have that support structure or something like that. And it'd be interesting to create a space where more people can find that, because that's all you need is to experience it. If you ever feel like, "Oh, I don't want to go there, or I don't want to do that thing, or I don't want to take the next step," it's most likely because you've not experienced it, and it's a nervousness or a fear that you have that you don't want to go step into that world. But sometimes all it takes is that, like, 5 minutes of experience in that space, and you're like, "Oh, it's not so bad. It's easy."
Dude, it's crazy how the world is. I was like at a shoe store or something, and some dude was walking by. I'm like, "Oh, excuse me," and I like looked at him. I gave him like 2 seconds of eye contact and smiled at him. And dude, I saw life come into his eyes. Like, he hasn't spoken to someone in weeks. Dude,
That's
and
crazy.
to the point where he like leaves, he comes back, he's like, "Hey man," and like we started a conversation, we start talking, I walk away, and like you just see him there, he's looking at the shoes and he's like bobbing his head, and like that smiling at a stranger changed that moment. I can't say his day or whatever, but like changed that moment for him. He was like, he looked pissed off or whatever, and I always do that to people. I'll look at them, smile, "Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?" They're like,
Most people don't know how to handle it. Everybody has the, like,
because like
you ever
that's
get
what we
you
do
ever
as
get the half
strangers.
smile though.
Yeah, and I'll double down, bro.
That's what I'm
that
doubling
awkward
down.
dude, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Come on, man, no smile." And they'll be like, and they're like, I'm sure they're like, "What the fuck is up with this dude?" But like to me, I'm like, "I know you got it in there.
Yeah, you got it in there,
I know
and
you got it in there.
you're just in your own little head right
You're
now.
trying hard not to be happy, but I make people happy."
I was in 2020. I think it was 2020. We ran the Austin Marathon.
Why?
I don't. It's not a brag. It was hard, and I was slow, and I have a million things to learn before I run another one.
You
and
did it, though.
I'm gonna keep
It's more
doing
than
it.
I've done.
I'd like to do another one, but I was running at North Park here in Pittsburgh, and it's a 5-mile loop around the track, and I was on my 20-miler, so it was 4 laps, and I started waving because I was running like in the morning. There weren't very many people running, so if somebody made it around the track again and I passed them twice, like I knew it was the same person, and so I started waving at people the second time, and some people would be like, what the heck? What are you looking at me for or whatever? And then eventually this one girl started high-fiving me by every single time, and she was doing a long run too. So we high-fived like 3 times, 3 different laps, and we were going opposite directions around the lake.
You're just like,
But with some random chick, don't even know her name, never saw her again.
but here you are talking about it.
But yeah,
Ain't that crazy?
it was a cool moment, and that human connection sticks with us.
Dude, it's crazy. How long ago was that?
2020. Like it was pre-2020 because the marathon was February 2020, so it would have been like December
And you and
20 or 19.
it made such an impact that you're talking about it now, 4 years later.
It's just a cool little social experiment, and you're like, wait, why are we in this world of like yelling at everybody who's not our friend instead of like trying to see if they could be?
Dude, it's almost harder to isolate. Like humans, we want connection, we want belonging, we want that, and that's why like when I see a lot of people who are labeled as like why the fuck are they doing that and that, they're just looking for a sense of belonging, and this is where they found it. It may not be the healthiest, but we strive for that human connection. Mm-hmm. And when the almighty folk push those aside, who were they left to go to?
Only more almighty folk are going to do the same thing to them.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
we hold ourselves to such a high standard of, whether you're in business or you have high moral ground or what. I can't give that person my time of day. If it's not you, who else is going to do it?
Yeah, I think humans tend to want to be with people who are the same as them, and we clump into groups in every sort of way with other people who are the same as us. But sometimes the best relationships are the ones that are most different.
You know where you see that at?
Where?
The gym.
Right, exactly.
I love to lift. Training is my thing. People, and it bothers me, people have this mindset. People come up to me, and I don't know if it's something I give off, and they'll be like, don't you fucking hate this dude? Do not kill me for this, but this dude literally told me this. He's like, don't you fucking hate when all the fat people come in January? I'm like, no. No. Like, I love January because I see all the people who want to change their life. Like, if you're knocking someone because they're in the gym trying to better themselves, and because you look great, you're strong, you're shitting on these people who are striving for that, like, fuck you. Like, we don't connect.
Well,
dude, and it blows their mind.
Go talk to them. Be like, hey, good job, man. Or like, if you see somebody doing something wrong, I mean, I'm not saying to go up to people in the gym and tell them what to do, but like, if you have a buddy who's doing that, like, all they maybe need is one time for you to say, dude, good fucking work.
Or, hey, nice to see you here.
Yeah.
Boom. Dude, that
they
person,
feel welcome in that space.
Yeah, they're like,
now.
oh, man, like, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't go to the gym because I don't look good. I'm like, that's what the gym is for.
Yeah.
Go. Like, go. And it's not about, like, you're going to feel good. The gym, you learn a lot of lessons in the gym. You learn patience, right? You bust your ass in the gym, sweat, tears, a little bit of blood. You go home. You're the same person visibly. You look in the mirror, your muscles didn't grow, like, but something's happening mentally. You're like, I did that. My first one, done. Like, there's a lot of things happening in the background. You don't see it, so it's easy to quit because you're like, I've been going for 3 weeks. I still feel the same. I look the same. But you're not the same because 3 weeks ago you weren't doing this.
And 3 weeks ago you hadn't gone for 3 weeks.
You're growing.
you have resume.
Yeah.
You have a gym resume now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, and it blows my mind, and it sucks when it comes March and April and like everyone starts weeding out, and I'm like, fuck, like people didn't stick with it. Like that is how I feel.
those are the people that I kind of have a heart for with the app. Like I wish we could find a way to make it more accessible to people like that, to make them feel like it's an easier foot in the door.
Create a library, workout library.
That's not even the hard part. There's 2 companies in particular, and I forget the names of them, on YouTube that already have 1,500 exercise libraries of all the instructional videos for every exercise in the gym. So we don't even have to create that.
Oh.
We don't have to create that. We can port that in, give them credit, give them residuals on everybody, whatever partnership needs to happen.
You're creating this environment, this community.
Yeah.
Bring in the expert.
If that's built already, I don't need to be the expert in building that. I don't need to pay somebody to go record all of those. Like, that's not necessary. So that's easy. But then helping them have, like, okay, if you're in the gym and you're not active and you're smaller and you're trying to put on muscle, that's going to be different than somebody who's in the gym who's big, who's trying to lose muscle. So how do you give them the easy, like, 30-minute workout to start, and then use the body tracking and the program tracking to understand their progress that they've got, to give them the next hardest thing right when they need it, instead of too early or never. Right? So you're now feeding people upgrades as they accomplish tasks.
And it's personal.
And it's personalized because you have the AI tracking what they're doing and how they're doing it. So if you go in, a great example is like where we do squat motions right now. So we can track sets and reps of a squat, and we can score that squat based off of a bunch of rule sets that we have programmed in on what makes a squat a good squat. So if you go in right now with 135 on the bar and you squat, you're a strong guy, you probably have pretty decent form for 135. And you'll rip 135 a whole bunch of times, and that'll be your program for a long time. And then eventually you'll say, hey, I want to put 185 on the bar. And that's a big jump, but like, I want to put 185 on the bar. Your form will change because it's more weight. Maybe you put 225, maybe you put 315. And every time you put more weight on that bar, your form will change because it's compensating for more weight. So understanding what that individual needs to do and when the right moment to progress is along that factor will reduce the risk of injury and increase their rate of progress. Because they're not, one, they don't have to figure it out for themselves because they're not an expert. But 2, it just feeds it to them. It helps you build your own program.
Dude, that's cool, because I even envision it going like, one thing I struggle with is progression. Mm-hmm. And when I tell a lot of the young guys, and they're like, how'd you get your bench to, I'm going to fucking be cocky, right? How'd you get your bench to 435?
That's crazy. You got to help me.
Fives and tens.
5s and 10s?
5s and 10s for a very long time. You know, I see these young kids, they'll put 135 on to warm up, and then they're at 225. And I'm like, ooh, like, okay, like that's a huge jump. And then 185. And then or 285. And then they're in the 3s. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, and they're lifting it, but I'm like, that is not sustainable. Like, you're opening up injury, you're opening up fatigue. The faster you get fatigued, the less you can lift, the less load, the less. So your muscles aren't getting everything that they should be getting. You're not getting the amount of load and resistance you should be giving it for proper building or ripping and then repair and all that. Because you're essentially fatiguing yourself and doing less reps, and you're getting to a high number, but your progress there, and that's the thing with life, right? Everyone wants the end goal. I want to get to 315. You'll see guys, I feel good at 225, they'll throw 315 to push it, and then they get it for once and like, I got to 315. It's like, you did, but that's not sustainable.
And it was a messy rep. If
yeah,
anything.
Do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do it again the next day. You're not at 315.
Yeah, you're not at 315 until you can manage
until 315. You can manage 315.
Yeah.
Or they drop it to their chest and they're struggling up, and it's like, you didn't manage the load. You're not at 315. Like, your progress is more important than your destination. Your destination is that 1 rep max is just verifying your progress.
Yeah.
If that 315 is sloppy, you get injured doing it, or you can't manage it, your progress, there's something going on with your process.
Well, an injury is the opposite of progress. Like, you're taking X amount of weeks off to recover, and most people are stingy about doing that, so then they're going to get injured again, or they're going to create a more long-term injury, and that's going to be a lifelong issue that they have to deal with. Like, you want to mitigate all that from day one. It's not even worth messing with.
So that's what I was thinking with the app. Like, this is where I'm at. put in my weight, put in, I can do 225 for 12, create a formula that'll determine, okay, you should, and there's stuff out there already, but it'll tell you, oh, you can do 315 this many times.
Yeah.
You can do your max this many times.
You can estimate it, do it this many times based off of your track record.
But that's cool. The end goal. There's I would like something where it's like, hey, your next set, you want to do 5 sets. That's what you put in. You want to do 5 sets. You want to be at 315 by this time. Our formula determines that your next set you should add 15 pounds to each side, so 30 total. Okay, this is how many times you should get. 10. Okay, so I'm putting on 30. I should hit 10. I actually hit 9. I input that. Recalculates. This is what you want. You want to deload or go higher. Like active
you could
tracking.
like have active tracking and goal-based tracking. So like what exactly you wanted to do if you were trying to like load heavy that day, or if you were going to a hypertrophy day, which day is it going to lead you down?
Yeah.
And having the broader picture of like the week-by-week program instead of the day-by-day program.
And that'd be more like an initial step, you know, because you don't want to be doing this. Your workouts will be long, but like as you're coming in, you're starting. Now the app is teaching you how to load your weight, how to deload, how many reps you should be, why you should be there. It's starting to teach you and train you so that you can start learning and start doing it on your own as you progress.
Oh, that's going to get my... I'm going to have to go sit in a dark room for a while and think about that one.
Dude.
there's a lot to think about.
There's nothing like that, though.
Well, and it's cool. We have really awesome, like, health science professionals that we're partnered with. And there's some really smart people who have been helping us understand form. And we have a couple of, like, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Doctor of Chiropractic, different, like, tons of different personal trainer types who have been talking us through this, and some military folks as well. They all will have opinions on something like that, on how that would impact a soldier, how that would impact an athlete, or how that would impact the everyday person. One of the things that we struggled with was, like, we're here for soldiers and athletes, and that's where we started. Like, hang on, that kind of cuts out the everyday person, even though we would consider the everyday person an athlete, because if you're being physically active, at least more than nothing.
Which is the standard we've set for ourselves now. If you get off your couch and you walk around, you're on the right, or you're fit, right? Or if you eat healthy, that's something you have to do. Eating healthy is eating normal. That's what it should be.
Did you just see that on Instagram today?
That's what I was gonna show you earlier when you mentioned that diet thing, and that blew my mind. I'm like, we have become so accustomed to whatever the heck is happening that being on a diet is like something to do. No, it's always been that's eating normal. Like back in the day, we didn't have toaster strudels and we had vegetables, we had meat, and we didn't have pasta, but
that's been like indoctrinated too. That's not a long time thing. Humans haven't been on, like, we were on Whole Foods for a long time, and then the Industrial Revolution came, and we had all these manufacturing abilities that scaled up, and then we built the industrial food complex and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, now it's built to fuel the whole system. And if you look at the people who are on the boards of all of these corporations and companies and FDA and groups like that, they're all buddies with each other. And so you're going to look me in the eyeballs and tell me that they're not trying to do business together, just like you and I are sitting here having a podcast? How long did it take us to organize this? 2 days? Mm-hmm. You're telling me that they're not working together? Please don't kill me.
Actually, it's funny because that is so true. I was like looking at my guests and I'm like, dude, like you were like in the middle. I'm like, why haven't I asked them to come on yet? Like you were on my list to ask. I'm like, you must have got lost. I'm like, dude, let me text this dude. And you're like, yeah, I can do it. I'm like, shit, I don't got much time to prepare. I'm like, what is there to prepare, dude? I stalked this dude's post fitness app. Like I can talk about this shit. I guess how long we've been going? Take a guess.
Hour 20.
Hour and 10.
Hour 10. Okay.
I was like, I thought we were 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, dude, I could talk about this all day, and we still got a lot to go. But point being, there's no prep to this. Like you get into a room, authenticity, like that's when the best ideas happen, when you have good intentions and good people, and then just spitball.
I had to unlearn that. So, you're growing up and you're going to school or whatever, and you have to prep for your prep for your presentation, you have to prep to write your paper, and you have to prep to give a talk in class, and you have to prep for your design brief in school, and you have to prep to talk to people. And every time it's this whole big thing, and you have to put on a suit, and you have to go stand up in front of everybody, and you have to get nervous. And I told you about the acting thing too, and you're like shitting yourself backstage, like, why am I gassy right now? Like, I don't want to be. And I was like, wait a minute. It's just about being prepared all the time. Being such a, I won't even say expert yet because we have so much to learn, but like knowledgeable about who you are and what you do and confident in what you do to be able to bring it off the rip at any moment.
You stay ready, you never have to get ready.
Yeah. What is the, I'm not even in the military, but it's the P's, 5 proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah. So like
7P, is that 7P?
Fun fact, in college, I never read my book. I never, like for a presentation, our groups would always split it. Like someone was really good at PowerPoint, so they would do the PowerPoint. Someone was really good at fact gathering, so they would gather the facts. And we would sit in a room, and everyone's got their binders and stuff. And dude, I can't sit down and like read and I don't know how to study.
Yeah,
I don't know how to study. I'd sit in there. I'm like, hey, like, and then I would be the presenter. They'd pick me to be a presenter because I tended to be the loudest person, and if you could, Puerto Rican blood, so that tends to be in every room. But they'd be like, "Hey, you got to present, man. Like, all you got to worry about is presenting. We'll give you all the cliff notes over there." And I'm like, "No, let's just meet the night before. We'll talk, and then like, oh, that doesn't give you enough time to prep." I'm like, "Dude, I don't know how to prep. I don't know how to prep. I'm gonna go up there, and I love talking to people, and I'm gonna talk to people. I'm gonna talk to the group of people. That's what I'm gonna do." That's what I've been good at. I've gotten here in life talking to people.
Absolutely.
So I would go in there. They'd be chin, chin, chin. And I'd be like, okay, what's that mean? Okay. And I'd like look up the definition or something like, oh, okay, so how does that apply? And then people, oh, this is when you, and I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom. All right, cool. All right, I'm good. They're like, dude, we've been here 30 minutes. Like, you want to go over it again? I'm like, no, I'm good. I think I got it. And I'd go up there.
Notes. You got the high notes. You got them logged, and you know how to blah about them.
And with Tess, people would be looking at the board, taking notes, recording the lecture. I would just stare at the board. Okay. I'd ask the questions I have. Wouldn't think about it all week. Come test day, if it was in there, it was in there. If it wasn't,
if it's not in there, it's not in there.
It's not in there, dude. And like, I did great. I wouldn't did great. I got like a 3.6 or 7.
It's good enough.
But like, people talk about 4.0s. That's, you round that. I got a 4.0. You round up. Like, dude, you know, so that's how I've always been. And that's the thing with everything. Like, if you train regularly, defensive tactics, running, lifting, you're eating right. This is how you are, you never have to get ready for anything. Someone goes to mug you, you don't have to, let me warm up, hold on. No, you're always ready. If you always train your mind to, this is something I know a lot of cops do, a lot of military guys, people who are conscious, like safety conscious. I'm always looking at exits. I'm always looking at, like, even sitting here.
Situational awareness.
Yeah, someone breaks into this room. What am I going to do? How do...
You got my back on that?
Oh, of course, dude. You don't see me staring at these windows, but I'm always thinking like that, right? Yeah. Why? Because if it happens, that's probably how it's going to happen. I've already been there. Yeah. I've already created a plan. Mm-hmm. You know, I see people walking downtown, you know, and their faces in their phone, and they're like walking in the street. They don't see this car coming. I'm like, dude, it's like someone's gonna get hit, or the perfect person to get mugged. Like, you know, back in the day when I hung out with certain people, this is what they would look for: who's paying attention, who's not paying attention, who's an easy target. They interviewed people who have attacked and killed police officers. They've interviewed these prisoners, and they did a study. And they asked them, like, why did you pick that officer or that target, or why'd you do that? And the majority of them was because I thought I could take him. He looked sloppy. The way he was dressed. He was distracted. He wasn't put together right. He didn't look like he can defend himself.
It was a vulnerable profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like,
interesting.
People think like that. Think of meetings. When you walk into a room, who do you tend to gravitate towards? Who do your attention go to? The loudest person usually, right? Because you're like,
Wait,
he
you
gets
look
your
at
attention.
The loudest person. I'm not necessarily going over to him, but
not over to him, but like, where does your attention go? The biggest stimulus, boom, and then
the
you start
active.
You start evaluating like, is this dude about that life or is he not? And then you kind of start creating. You don't look at the dude out here in the corner, but this dude, maybe the smartest dude in the room. Mm-hmm. You know, so like, you should be the one looking. And if you see a lot of dudes in the room, probably avoid them because.
Well, that also goes back to your gym comment, right? Like the guy in the corner doesn't know what he's doing. Could be the smartest guy in the gym, and the gym is just the thing that he's trying to add to his repertoire. You know, he hasn't been here before. He's got a PhD in whatever.
He's got a PhD in exercise therapy.
He went to Harvard. That is something that confuses me. You know, people who have exercise science degrees but aren't using it. Now,
but they could tell
everybody's got to
how the
start
body
somewhere.
works.
I'll give the benefit of the doubt, but they know all the information. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, how do you
I don't
not
wanna get in
connect
trouble
those
with
two?
that one,
No, it's a good point. Like, how do you not connect those two? You have all this knowledge, but you're not applying it.
Well, like I don't have an exercise science background. I've studied everything that I've got. So I went and got nutrition coaching certified because I wanted the knowledge, right? So if you wanted the knowledge and you got the knowledge, use the knowledge. Like that's what, for me, like if I could go, I mean, I do a lot of gym fitness related research. Like if I could download like Matrix Neo style into my brain, everything I need to know about the gym and fitness and jujitsu and like kung fu, like he does in the movie, like I'd do it and I'd use it and I'd love doing it.
Yeah, it makes it like we can do that. We can.
Yeah.
Dude, the internet. Like, we have a computer in our hand.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like learning how to even leverage this as to its full potential. It's like I probably use this 10% of what it's worth.
I probably use like 70%. No, I'm always like in there, learning. So I'm always researching something. I'm always looking for apps that can take this load off. Or like, dude, we have little computers in our hand.
My problem is it always ends up with money. There's always money on some side, and then I just think about like, okay, each of these apps has stolen a certain percentage of my monthly income. Because now everything's subscription based. It's not a one-time purchase, and that thing doesn't necessarily get better month to month, which is the why you pay a subscription.
Yeah, everything is going to subscription. Literally everything.
Yeah. Well, the thing with software is, remember I was saying like all the different systems have to update. And there's all the month-to-month maintenance on software to keep it going. You have to, because the business of the software company, let's just use like Facebook as an example, the amount of work that they have to do to keep that thing updated and running so that it never crashes, so that you never have a problem, requires monthly funding. And so they have to charge people for the premium version month to month. Facebook's a terrible example.
I never thought of that. But like something like the movie industry, right? You wanted to watch a movie, what'd you do? You bought the movie.
Yeah.
Well, now they're streaming, right? All the movies are available in one place. Why can't I just buy the movie I want to watch? Well, now it's like, give us a monthly price. You get access to all these movies.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so now it's not a fixed thing. I don't want to watch all these movies. I just want to watch this one movie. And you're telling me I have to subscribe to your whole organization.
Well, they've allowed people to love all of the movies instead of just the movies that they love. Isn't that crazy?
Wait, say that again?
They've allowed people to love all of the movies instead of just the movies that they love. What's your favorite movie growing up?
I didn't really watch movies growing up. It was Drumline.
Drumline, I don't even know
with
that one.
Nick Cannon. He went to, I think, WVU.
I don't even know.
Watch Drumline.
Okay.
Scarface, yeah, typical.
Of course.
Love Don't Cost a Thing. I always watch that movie. I don't know why.
I don't know that one either. I'm on like the nerdy side of the movies, like Lord of the Rings,
okay.
Princess Bride, Star Wars.
Here's one.
Yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That's a good one.
Now we're on your level right here. Flubber.
Yeah.
Do you remember Flubber,
classic
dude?
Robin Williams, yeah.
But
really, like, you had those on a shelf, and those were your movies. And when you were bored as a kid, you watched them again.
Yeah.
Now, how many times have you rewatched a movie?
I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't.
I still rewatch things.
Really?
You ever watch Peaky Blinders?
Yeah, one time.
I've watched Peaky Blinders like 9 times. It's because every time you watch something, especially with as intricate as some of these writers can write nowadays, you'll find something new every single time.
There's only one show that I have watched over 30 times, front to start to finish.
I can give you a multiple check.
We'll see. We'll see if you can even guess this. It's a show that most people throw on the background. It's a comedy, start to finish.
Sitcom.
I've probably watched it 30 times, and I can still watch it again. And I used to watch it to go to sleep every night.
I mean, like right when you said there's this one, it's like you got Office, Seinfeld, Friends, Always Sunny.
Friends, bro.
Friends. I love that show. It's great.
I don't even think people pick this up. I love Friends so much Do you realize what my episodes are called?
No.
The One With.
Oh.
And in Friends,
Nice.
if you look at what they name their episodes, it's always the
Yeah.
one with the bacon, really. The one with,
me to
yeah,
shut
can you
that?
close the door? It's always the one with, the one who laughs, the one who, there's always the one with something,
Yeah.
you know? I don't even think people pick that up.
No,
But
I didn't even notice it. If I probably would have noticed it if I saw it.
It's a bone to Friends. I
That's
love
sweet.
Friends so much. Yours is gonna be the one with Andy Grove.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you know the like irony of that title now? Do you know who else Andy Grove is? So Andy Grove is the original founder of Intel. Like
Is that
the
your
big,
real
the
name?
big computer company. Andrew Grove is my name, but that was his name too. Which I
Or
didn't
that what
I didn't
you go
realize
by?
until I was older that maybe my parents my dad's in software and he's a big tech. I didn't know if that was a thing or not. But
Your name's probably
Yeah.
like Michael, and that's what you go by publicly.
no.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
No, but what major issues have you faced like launching Pose? Like what's one thing, if you can pick one, like a big one that you had to overcome, and how were you able to manage that and get through it?
Product development's the hardest one. I mean, there's a lot of other challenges that come into it. I mean, financial challenges of starting a business and funding it yourself is a lot. There's always like team dynamics that are challenging. Different people like to work different ways, and that doesn't always work well. But product development's been the hardest since day one. So like I have the design degree, but I don't have a coding background. So I can't go build my own product. So when we first made it, we built a prototype. We used some offshore guy from Pakistan or whatever to do the original thing, or just some like Upwork guy.
Yeah, I've used them
Yeah.
for a few projects.
And he pretty much probably scammed us out of $500 or something like that for the first demo that we got. And so you're like, oh, it kind of did what I wanted it to, but it's not really impressive at all. I can't really show anybody this, and I don't have any money left to spend on anything else. And then you're like, oh, I got a friend who could maybe be involved long term who wants to do this, and I don't have anything to pay you, or maybe I can pay you $100 a month or something that's like just not even worth anybody's time. And they're like, oh, I'll use it for my college portfolio or whatever. And so we had somebody else do a demo that way, and it was like it worked and it got us in a step further, but it was just it's been really, really, really small incremental steps as much as we could possibly do. And now, I mean, it's been a huge blessing to have my dad involved with his business has been going for 27 years in software development, and he founded it when I was 2. So like he's an expert upon experts, and we built it. And he had the parental doubt of like, hey, like just be careful, like it's a startup, like don't put all your eggs in one basket. He supported us the whole way. He always liked the idea. And then there was a shift, and I don't know that I actually know exactly what it was, but at one point he was like, what if I help you? And we were like, oh, that'd be really sweet. And he's been our CTO for, I think, 2 years now, maybe a little longer. He's been helping us longer than 2 years, but he's been maybe officially our CTO for 2 years. I don't remember the exact date, but it's put superpowers on it's given us superpowers. So I can I can spend my time boots on the ground talking to people in the market who our partners are. I can talk to the military folks. I can understand what they need, what problems they're trying to solve, how they're using it in the different spaces. And one of the crazy things that I've tried to wrap my head around is instead of building individual products for all of the potential market sectors that we work with, I want to build one product that works for all of them. So I need to take all this feedback, combine it into one solution, communicate it to Dad, who's going to develop it, and then it'll come to a demo mode. And that's our process right now. And so I can go take this demo. It works on my phone. I can go. You saw it whenever you were at Stout, and we can actually use it with people now. I have a tripod that I carry around with me everywhere I go, and I can just go, here you go, demo, and show people how it works, and that's night and day.
How many times have you done that? Not like scheduled. How many times have you popped that tripod out and like shown someone?
So many, dude. Like,
Dude, if you caught me in the street with that, you'd blow my fucking mind. So I swear.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, the hard part is, so it only uses a front-facing camera, right? So if I show you the app like this, and you're the one doing the squat, you can't see anything. I can do a screen recording and show you after the fact, but there's something about seeing it live That's good. So often what I do is I'll set it up for you. I don't have my backpack in here. I'd literally pull the tripod out right now. But I'd set this up for you, and I would do the squat. So then you can watch me do it. And then you go, hey, let me have a shot.
You need to carry a little monitor that you can plug into your phone. You just...
I have an iPad.
Yeah.
Just a little screen mirror
they
with
link,
the iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
You ever seen those videos of like influencers who'll like, they'll put a camera up and then they'll like ask questions or whatever. Or they're like, you should do that.
A little guerrilla marketing.
But yeah, just like sit there and be like, hey, you ever like, boom, your spiel real quick, 30 seconds, go to a boardwalk where there's a lot of people who are fit and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, you should demo our product. Like, demo, see how you look. Let's see how your form is. Or that's what you do. A little reverse psycho. Hey, you think you got good squat form? Yeah.
We just added pull-ups.
Boom. Oh.
So talk about something that people get competitive over. Body weight squats are like fun to do to try and get the good form. The highest anybody's ever got's a 91. But like you do a pull-up, most people can't even get 10 pull-ups. And we're using Air Force Special Warfare rule sets on that pull-ups.
Dead
It
hangs?
has to be, dead hang, and you have to pull the bar to your chest, which
Ooh.
I probably can't even do 10 of those like solid to their standards. It was pretty rigorous.
Usually
when
it's
we were
always
doing the
chin
testing.
up, right? Now it's
Yeah.
that extra.
Yeah, they want the bar. Your chin has to come over the bar. The bar
that
almost
extra
has to touch your
stretch,
chest.
bro.
Yeah. Well, and using the scapular. The
I got an
scapular
idea.
retraction. What's that?
I got an idea. I want 10%. Use this. He's like, motherfucker, what? I'd jump on one podcast? You're asking for 10? Okay.
You want 10%?
Partnering with the Murph Foundation
Could be good.
and using the app to track people's Murph workouts. Because a lot of people be cheating.
A lot of people will be
A
cheating.
lot of people be cheating.
Well, there's enough hype around the Murph that you could probably get something interesting in place. But we could run, like once we get everything built, we'll be able to run events in the app remotely.
Dude,
So
think about that.
There's a whole community element to this that's like, okay, you have the body tracking, the programs, and the trainers, and the clients, and everything's knit together. But then, like, what about your friends who are using the app too? Why would you not be able to talk to them? Why would you not be able to hit achievements that your friends haven't hit yet? So there's a whole gamification element of that of like, okay, you hit 225, you hit 315, you hit...
And then grade them.
Yeah, and grade them and say, okay, you did this sooner or later than the last person. You're going to race each other. So the cultural competitiveness, not of like a screw you competitiveness, but in like a
That
I'm going to
friendly-
beat you to
yeah.
it, friendly competition can help the community grow. You know, a rising tide lifts all boats. So
Dude, that's sweet. That'd be cool. Like you and your buddy, like I had to, not this year, obviously, because of my knee, but last year I had to run it alone. I ran the Murph alone because I didn't have nowhere to run it. But like being able to like, let's say you got a buddy in California or something, being able to set it up. I don't know how you do the run, maybe treadmill, set it up so you're both doing the Murph and you can see where your buddy's at based off like pull-ups and air squat. You're like, oh, damn, he's 2 sets ahead of me or he's 30 ahead of me. Like
looking at the app, you'll fall behind though. You got to be careful.
yeah, but it's a cool way
It's a
to
cool-
like
no,
to check
absolutely.
in and be like, damn, okay, I got to pick it up.
Well, like folks like Jarek are live streaming the Murph with other people around the country. You know, he's tied in with the University of Human Performance. He's tied in with the Ones Ready guys. And like they're broadcasting a group of people doing a Murph all over the country to build that sort of support. So like that, the actions required to make that happen on the social side are already happening. To put a tool in that makes it even easier is not a hard stretch.
Dude, you guys are about to do some crazy things.
You never
I'm
know,
like-
man. It's just like the hardest part the whole time is like, okay, I just got to get enough product to get to market. And we're like right there and all this other stuff's built up. All the relationships are built up. And like, it's just, I got to get to step one and then it's off to the races.
What is success to you with Pose?
That's a big question.
Yeah, we don't do no little questions here. What's your name? No.
I think one of the interesting things that I've run into a bunch is the partners and the investors, some of them that we've talked to are all about exit. Like build this up, get it to a certain amount, sell it for 10x. And that's cool. You know, you can make good money. I could sail off into the sunset and go sit on a beach and sip margaritas for the rest of my life. And
And I can be like,
Be
that
happy
guy was on my
enough.
podcast.
I could be happy enough, but if we build it bigger and bigger and bigger, the magnitude at which it has impact and financial impact for not just us, but everybody who's involved grows and grows and grows as well. So if I take that, let's just take the traditional investment model. You put the money in at the front, you wait grow it for 5 years to the point where there's enough ARR to be sellable. Typically, they try to do it between 3 to 5 years, and then you sell it for 10x at the end. And then you're out and you're free and you go do the next thing. That's cool. A lot of people can do it. You can like hopscotch your way into lots of wealth and do a lot of different businesses. But what if like one business had a bunch of micro businesses within it and was able to do that with a bunch of different facets and build multiple like engines of businesses with under one roof? We talk about body tracking. That's kind of like this base, but what if you could automate the remote personal training world as well and take all that work off of the personal trainer's plate? What if you could add the whole like?
How dare you?
So no, you're taking the work off of their plate so they can spend more time with clients.
Oh.
So that's one of the number one qualms we got early on was like, oh, you're taking the job away from the personal trainer. No, that's not the point. Personal trainers are our best friend. And I mean, at this point, we have a decent handful of personal trainers on our team who we get to partner with. We're not taking it away. We're taking the mundane away from them so they can focus on their favorite part, which is working with clients. We asked these personal trainers, we were like, what do you want to do in your business? You have to start your own business. You're not working for a gym anymore. You're on your own. You're one-on-one personal training by yourself. What do you want to spend all your time on? They say working with clients. All of them have said working with clients. I don't want to spend time on social media. I don't want to spend time on payment processing. I don't want to spend time on building programs. I want to spend time face-to-face with the client. And so the more of those tertiary actions that they have to take to run their business that we can put on our plate, the more we can free them up to have impact on people connections. And that perpetuates the health lifestyle that we're aiming at. So the goal, you said what's success look like? The goal would be to have a highly functioning business that creates a flourishing lifestyle for everybody who's involved, not just the Pose owners, not just the personal trainers, not just the athletes, not just the everyday people who get to work with us, not just the soldiers. Everybody in that environment has an opportunity to collaborate. Because at some point, soldiers are going to get out of the military. They need a place to go that's going to have a community for them, right? And if that's built in a place that they already have access to, then the transition is easier. So one of the things that, I told you I just did this seminar, BJJ seminar this last weekend with Jarek and the Veteran Bushido Brotherhood. One of the things that they talk about is like veterans have a hell of a time leaving the service and finding belonging, right? They're kind of on their own. You don't have that level of camaraderie that you have when you're in the service. And a lot of them struggle, not just like professionally, but personally. And there's a lot of mental illness that comes along with it. And the systems in place to support that usually exacerbate the problem and don't help fix it. So what if you had a pipeline built in already for them to work in a fitness community while they were in the service and then move into a fitness community that already existed when they left? And they could be with people that aren't necessarily like the Pittsburgh Pose crew. Like, what if this is national? They could have somebody that's already in there. Maybe they're from Columbus, Ohio. Maybe they're from Denver, Colorado. Like, maybe there's already a group there for them. And they can go home and they can meet those people. And then it's more of an obvious fit. And they don't have to go try and build something that's not organic. We can grow it organically.
Damn. Dude.
I don't know. I just ripped that off right now. But like,
no, but
it's there. And those things are possible if you use technology, not just as technology, but with human-centered interest.
Yeah, that sense of belonging is a huge. I had a buddy. We're still buddies, but he re-enlisted and pushed for deployments because what's here? And I'm like, dude, there's so much here. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing here for me. That's what I know. So he would go, would leave his family, but like he didn't know his family because he was always deployed.
Yeah, so there's like some distance that had been created even if he was there.
So when you take that away, you have a lot of men and women who are searching for that. camaraderie that, like, they don't enjoy war. They don't enjoy what's going on, but they enjoy the relationships that they've built. They enjoy the bonds that have been made, the experiences that have been shared. Like, there's not a lot of places like that out here for men and women like that. These communities where people understand, people get it. We all have the same goal. We all have the same motives. We're all pushing for the same thing. And this app has the ability to do that. And it's crazy because if you simplify, you're like, this is a fitness app. But it's so much more than a fitness app. You're striving for community. You're striving for this organic network that intertwines. And if you can build that successfully, which I think you can based off our conversations, I've heard a lot about you. I've been following what you're doing. Like the baby steps, the process, follow the process, just keep the good intentions. If you can build this slow growth, bro, that foundation will be untouchable. You can't.
That's
but like
the dream.
You see a lot of these companies. This is what I want. They pay $250,000 to launch this app. They have no ties to it. They're just like, this is what I want it to do. Some third party company throws it all together and then it tanks. Or they're like, oh, whatever, and they quit and then on to the next thing. Like, you have your blood, sweat, tears, or DNA. Like, Pose is you are Pose.
Yeah, we've been very hesitant about the money side of things because the second that you make money the forefront goal of everything, you sacrifice all that other value. And so, like, the money will come when it's meant to come. And it comes in small ways now. And we're learning where it comes better and where it has more impact. But if we built this business just to make money, it would not be the business that it's meant to be.
Yeah, you'd be cutting so many things out. So many things that will make this successful.
Cut it away. One, you'd pare down the dream to address today's reality. And I don't want to do that. I want to work as hard as I can today to earn the dream. Because if I earn it every step of the way, then the money will support it every step of the way. Instead of like sacrificing the long-term potential for this like little bit of gratification that we could get right now. Because like if we put this together really quick, we do the right thing, we get it, we can sell it for like a couple $1,000,000 to somebody, and I could probably have a decent investment chunk, and I could go do something else. But do I want to do something else? Yeah. If I started a second company, what's it going to do? It's probably going to be a fitness company. So why would I not just do it with the one I already have?
Yeah.
Right.
If you're gonna do it right the first time.
Right.
You see a lot of people do that with things. They want this, they half-ass it, they kind of get it, boom, they quit, then they go back and they do it differently this time, then they quit. But every time you do that, you abandon it, you're losing those steps.
So I see that with a lot of people, and I actually just talked about this with somebody the other day. But there's a phase in life, I think most frequently it's like right out of school, whether you finish in high school or after college, where you have to try a billion different things. And Gary Vee talks about this. You have to try a bunch of different things and find where you fit. But eventually you take one path and you start following it. And that path will eventually branch into something else. But what happens is most people don't stay on that path long enough to hit the next branch. They say, took too long, I'm going to go backwards and start on one of these other things that I could see. But you have to take one path that you want and you have to stick to it long enough that the next thing becomes visible. Because like with the business, I didn't know we were going to get into government contracting, but we had enough conversations that somebody said, you could go get an SBIR. And I banged my head against that door 10 different times to try and get a contract, and we still didn't get it yet.
I like that.
But I know the potential of that now, and I now know that I can go chase government contracts. I know that we can go help people. Actually, Ethan and I had an awesome situation when we were in Texas where we were showing all these people the app. We got to go talk to this 2-star general, and he looked us in the eyes and he said, "Don't give up. We need this." That was it.
That's all I need.
That's all I need.
all I need.
Don't give up. We need this. Like,
Dude,
do I know how it's going to come together? No. Do I know what exactly he needs? Kind of not really.
We'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
But don't give up. We need this. And so if I had given up on government contracting any of the 8 or 9 times before we did that contract because we banged our head against the walls and it didn't work, I'm going back to square one and I'm going to try a different market. And maybe that You never discovered that. You ever see the like little meme? It's like
I don't. If you say what I was gonna say, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
it's like the
gold
digging,
mine?
the digging, yeah. And there's like the guy digging, and he's
I'm
like
sitting
got
here like-
one tiny little thing, and the other guy's looking at his tiny little gem that he got, and he like quits digging, but the massive gem is right behind the wall.
That's literally what I was gonna say. I'm like waiting for the right time. I'm like, you ever seen that meme?
Yeah.
But that is so true. You get there, and it's one more blow to get you to this gem on the other side, but you're so focused over here that you're like, oh, that's where the gems are. I'm gonna stop here and go over there. And you just blew this massive opportunity that you had. But because you didn't see it through, you didn't remain relentless, you gave it all away to go over here. Now you got to start a whole nother journey back to maybe get a small gem.
When I think so many people don't ever stick to something long enough to hit to that point. And there's something to be said from being with other people who want to be persistent. Like, you're on episode 40 of this podcast. You have done 40 episodes and you haven't given up. You want persistence. You want to keep this going. You see the value of what this podcast could be, not tomorrow, but in the next 5 years. You understand it. You understand and have committed to the fact that you're going to keep pushing this thing forward until you hit who knows what great thing.
Dude,
right?
it's so crazy. That's so, yeah. You know where the majority of episodes, the majority of podcasts, what episode they fail, they quit, they stop, they're done?
It's like 3 or 4, right?
20.
No, 20.
If you get to 21 episodes, you're 90-something% of podcasts. You're past that have failed.
Wow. You're
Yeah,
in the
blew my-
90th percentile just from doing
I'm
20?
like, but here's my thing, and I'll talk to people, and people they're like, oh, who's your next guest? I'm like, oh, I'm thinking of this dude. They're like, oh, I already had a podcast. He was already on one. I'm like, so I ain't talked to him. Like, it's about
different.
It's about
yeah.
like me sitting down with you to learn, and that's the whole premise of why I started this. Because if I would have, if the Ish back in the day had the conversations that I've been privy to now, my life would be completely different.
Right.
And there's been so many times I've been in a room with someone having a conversation, and then I go talk to someone else. I'm like, dude, I just had this conversation with this dude, bro. So good. This is what we talked about. Like, and I'm like trying to capture the essence of the conversation I had with this person. And they're like, oh, dude, that sounds like a cool dude. I got to meet him. Like, you think I can remember 10% of the shit we talked about on this episode? You've blown my mind constantly. You know what I
don't
mean?
even remember what I said.
But like, but
That's why we recorded
now
it.
we're sitting, yeah. And it's like, and that's the premise of it, dude. Like, what you're doing is so cool, and it's so niche, and it has the potential to just be amazing. And I'm sure you have a huge a network and people know, but like, when I go back to talk to my people, I'm like, dude, like, this app, you gotta like, all I gotta do is like, dude, listen to the episode, bro. Like listen to the episode and listen to what this dude was saying. Blew my mind.
There's something magic about the podcast space. You get in the room, you shut the door, you put the headset on. All we can hear is each other's voices. I keep like hearing clanging, and I realize like it's my own watch off the table, and I'm like, it sounds like it's the whole way over there. But like, you get to kind of isolate on nothing else. Our phones are on silent. There's nothing else going on other than this conversation. And I think nowadays in our high stim world, like, it's really hard to find that environment. So when you can get it, it's like, oh, dude, I could lock in here for a long time. Like you said, we had been doing 100 or an hour and 10 before. We're probably at almost 2.
143.
Yeah, but like, we haven't even gone through that whole list of questions.
I'd abandon the list.
Yeah.
We just got we. What list?
Right. But like, it's just interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we can keep going and riffing, and you say things. It's a cool space. I think more people need to try it. I think more people need to like stop bagging on podcasts and just go beyond one, or just make one, or just record a conversation with your friends, because you never know what sort of like little nuggets of knowledge are going to come out of that conversation, and that's where it's supposed to happen anyway.
Podcasts have a bad name because of podcasters.
Right.
Like, too many times people, and it's all about intention, right? Too many times people start something for the wrong reason. Like, people are starting podcasts now. Not everyone, but there's a few group of people who start a podcast because they want to be on a podcast. They want to start a podcast. Like, there's no substance in that. Like, I started a podcast because I want to fucking talk to people. I want to learn about people. I want to like dive. Why does your brain work the way it works? Like, tell me. This is partially selfish. I gain from these conversations and I use them on the next episode. And then they're like, till this day, I had Tanner Hall. He was with Stout. I had Tanner Hall in here. I hate compliments. I fucking hate them. I get weird when people compliment me. I don't know if it's like childhood trauma or whatever, but when someone compliments me, I divert.
Yep.
And the dude looked me in the eye. He goes, "You're going to say I received that." And I'm like, so when someone compliments, say I received that. Acknowledge it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm like, okay, like, all right. Then. And then we start talking. He compliments me and it clicks. I'm like, I received that. Dude, I've been doing that now.
Oh, that's a really neat one. That's a good practice too, because sometimes it's hard to it's hard to know exactly how to react to a compliment.
It's like I received that.
Yeah, and that's like, thank you. Thank you sounds a little bit formal.
Yeah,
like I received that as I see you.
It's like, I heard you. I'm owning it. Thank you. Dude, it's changed. Like, if I would have never had that conversation, and I crossed his path multiple times at the gym. We say what's up to each other. But like you said, this high STEM world, no one really sits down and has intentional conversations. Podcasts are intentional conversations.
Absolutely.
I've grown to like them because oftentimes we see people on their social media pages doing the coolest things, the highlights of their lives, their careers. We see athletes during their sport. We see actors during the movie. And then you you listen to a podcast where they're on, and you're like, dude, I had no idea that dude was so funny. Or I had no idea he went through that in life.
You read Green Lights by McConaughey? He's a good example of that. Like,
yeah,
that whole book's wild.
But you're like, you get to see the person, you know?
Yeah.
You start to bridge that gap of like high and mighty actor, and it's like, dude, he puts his pants on how I put my pants on. He bleeds how I bleed. Like,
absolutely,
everyone has access to the same 24 hours a day. And when you start to hear people's stories and see what motivates them and why they're motivated and what they're doing and how they're approaching it, and you're like, what's my excuse? He's a husband. He's got 3 kids. He has a full-time job. He trains jiu-jitsu. He has a business on the side.
How does he do it all?
How does he do it all?
And if he can do it all, why can't I do it?
Yeah, and it's like when people look at me and they're like, man, dude, like about working out, like I just don't have time. I'm like, dude, that's so offensive to me because I'm like, I don't have time. There's sacrifices I make. And you're taking that away from, this isn't a luxury. This isn't something I've been given. This is something I've taken. This is something I have owned. I have made it mine. I've made it intentional.
Absolutely.
I wake up at 4 a.m. every day to work out.
You're a 4 a.m. guy.
Well, because at the end of the day, I have a kid, I have real estate, I got showings, I got all this stuff I have to juggle. I can't do it at the end because now I'm sacrificing all this. So I got to do it when everyone's sleeping. When the world is sleeping,
learning to make the right sacrifices is important. When the world is sleeping, what?
I said when the world is sleeping, that's when I'm trying to get after everything.
Yeah.
Because that's how I have to do it. People work. Oh, I work late. Then they'll go home. They'll turn on their show, eat chips, and they're sitting there and they'll stay up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Every time you turn the TV on, put on a timer, and that'll tell you how much time you have to go to the gym.
Every streaming service has commercials. Every commercial start doing push-ups or sit-ups or something.
Oh, dude, I work from home. I sit in the living room sometimes, and I'll have like the TV on the background or whatever. I keep 2 dumbbells next to my couch. I have an ab roller, and I'll do like 10 sets a day. I'll do like biceps, triceps, overheads, lateral raises, and like it's not my workout for the day, but it keeps me active. It makes me not want to kill myself working at home all the time because I'm like, it's not that I don't like working from home. It's like I like the personal side of business. I like having these conversations. I like talking to people face to face. I like collaborating on projects. And so like when I'm sitting at home by myself, it's like, okay, this is tough because I'd like to talk to the people I'm working with. Something. And so doing a workout and breaking up that work process and lifting for a minute, one, it gets my blood flowing, so that's good, helps the creative juices go. But also it like is a step in the right direction. Ab rollers are gonna tear you up after a while. So
but perfect. Yeah, that's my point. It's like, how are you spending your time? Mm-hmm. If you and you have to kind of check yourself, because if people sat down and they were real with themselves, they were honest with themselves, and they started trimming away at the fat of their life. And what I mean by that, it's like all the stuff that doesn't, like, it's not necessary. I'm guilty of it too, man. There's days I come home from work and I sit in my truck and I all it takes is one scroll. I'm there for 25 minutes.
Yep.
Now I'm like, oh damn, I still got laundry to do, I got dishes to do, I got this. I just wasted 25 minutes sitting in my truck the poison of Instagram or TikTok. Like, that's when you have to check yourself and be like, no, I got this is what I have to do. This is what I must do. We all have the same bank of 24 hours. Just because you have a cool project, you don't get an extra 10 hours in your bank. Like, you have 24 hours. Look what you're doing with this project. I have 24 hours. I manage real estate. I'm a full-time cop. I have this podcast, which takes more time than I wish it would. But I do graphic design.
You're a designer too. You said logos earlier, and I was like, "Oh, is he a graphic designer as well?"
I designed all my own graphics. I've designed
That's so sick.
half the stuff you see not half, but like a portion of stuff you see on people that I'm connected to on Instagram. I probably designed some of their stuff.
Oh, that's sick. I mean, anything that has your design style
Definitely
on it's
mine.
probably pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I had Savage Gentleman on here. I did his fight poster.
That's sick.
Like, and then it got shared to Fight TV.
That's
I'm
sick.
like, dude, that's huge. He's like, oh, I'll give you credit, bro. Like, I'm like, dude, like, no dollar amount was exchanged.
Yeah.
I created a graphic for him. This dude took it upon himself to reach out to this company and say, this is my graphic. You're going to give credit to this guy.
That's sick.
He didn't have to do that.
That's sick.
Didn't have to do that. And he did.
Just paying it forward.
And then we started messaging. Me and the dude from Fight. He's like, "Oh, dude, I was in Pittsburgh. We streamed 247 a couple times." I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually, I part of like I've been, I don't know if we can announce it yet, but like I'm also working with 247 too." And then we bridged that gap. We started talking. Now I'm like connected with this dude from Fight TV.
That's cool.
Like it's all a network. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how it works.
I think I was going to say something a little bit earlier about the sacrifice. You know, you have to pick your time and choose your sacrifice. And I think when we talk about that consistency journey, and you have to like stay the course long enough to hit the goal eventually. You have to stay the course long enough to hit the goal. There are sacrifices that must be made on that road, and it's not easy and it's painful.
Oh yeah.
And accept that the very first minute that you start. Because if you don't know, if you come into a situation where you're like, oh, this is going to be painful and I don't know if I want to do it, I haven't made that decision already.
Don't do it.
You're going to quit every single time.
Well, don't even start it.
So make the choice on day one when you say, I'm going to start this path, I'm going to finish this path. And when I get to the end of the path, then I can adjust again. But if you quit in the middle every single time because it's painful or you didn't want to sacrifice this or you didn't want to sacrifice that. I was a kid who was working on the weekends all the time. I was working on the weekends. I was not going out. And I actually developed like I'm not a super, like I don't go to clubs. I'm not going out on the weekends and drinking. Like I don't do that. But it was because I was busy. And now like I'm fine to go every once in a while, have a good time, dance a little bit, have a couple drinks.
I'm a big dancer. I love I love music. Yeah, dude, I love loud music. I love dancing. I love that is my thing. But I also it's not a priority to me. If I have to miss, I miss.
Yeah.
It's not something I go to all the time.
It's extra.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a random weekend off where I don't have anything. That's rare, but like a couple friends invite me. Sure, I'll go. But like, it's not something where I'm like every weekend I have and I see people doing that.
Saturday night, man. Let's
go. And
go.
then the next post, which is crazy, man. Like you'll see people partying it up, and then the next post is like, I need to change my life. Like something needs to, and I'm like,
I'm so hungover from last night.
But like, it hurts me, dude. And like, the side of me, I'm a fixer, man. Like if you talk to me about a issue or something, I care about people so much. I'm ready to offer solutions, and I've learned people don't want solutions. Mm-mm. Some people just want to vent. They just want to get it out. They don't want to change anything, but for them, they get that comfort feeling when they can just throw it out into the universe. I've learned that, and it's hard for me to go, just don't go clubbing this weekend.
Well, that's the easy thing. They're like, well, why do I have to change my life? All that thing. What's the number one thing you need to change? It's right there. You know it. People need to stop lying to themselves, but I won't go down that road.
No, but that's so true, man. And it's tough, dude. It's tough when you see that, and like a lot of people I grew up with, they're in the same place from 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, man, I want to do this. I'm like, do it, man. Like, start it. The hardest step is the first one. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
Well, you already know what you want. If you can take 1-2 steps in the first go, and then you're over it, you're good,
dude. And like a lot of it's easy. It's a difficult process. No, it's a difficult thing to do, but it's easy. You know how it needs to be managed. If you want to build muscles, you go to the gym and you lift heavy weights. It's hard. It sucks. You'll be sore. You'll be hungry. You're going to miss sleep sometimes. You're going to miss hanging out with your friends. You're going to have to miss, going to have to go to work right after. Like, it's hard in that sense. The process is easy. You walk through the door, you load the bar, and you push it.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people want to overcomplicate it. If it's not complicated or if it's not like stressful, it doesn't count. It's like, no. Go into the gym, eating right. These things are basic. And most likely the most basic version will have the biggest impact.
Yeah.
So if you go to the gym and you do a standard set of things consistently, that's better than not going at all, and you will see results. If you eat really, really simple basic foods, talking white rice, beef, broccoli, like
minimal ingredients,
potatoes, minimal ingredients. If you eat the most basic meals, you will be the most healthy, and you will feel the most healthy, and you will shred fat, and you will build muscle, and you will be happy, and your brain will feel good. And it's not a complicated fad diet. It's not reducing all of your carbs to nothing and dealing with the mental strain that comes from that. Don't get me started. But
preach.
But start with the simple thing that you have access to right now that's right in front of you. It doesn't have to be a million miles down the road. Most of the time, it's right out your front door. Take the first step. Go and do it. And if you have trouble along the way, reach out to somebody who can help you. Because again, we're trying to create community here. The more interaction you have with other people who know what they're doing, the better you're gonna be. When I was starting the business, one of the things that I've also been really blessed with in my life is I've had mentors.
Huge. Those are so huge.
And there was a point in time where I had 8 mentors that I was meeting with every couple of months and regularly. And these people were all better than I was in tech space and business space and the religious space and family. My grandpa and I have a really strong relationship. Both of my grandpas did. My dad as well. But you have this group of people that you have as your essentially a sounding board. So you're like, this is something that I'm working on. I want his opinion. I want his opinion. I want his opinion. I want his opinion. And now I take the aggregate of his opinion, of all the opinions, and say, this is what I'm going to do. So it's not they're telling me what to do. It's they're giving me feedback. And I find the commonalities in the feedback and know then what step to take with confidence, because the people who I trust the most in the world would have made the same choice. And it was the choice that I was going to make in the first place anyway.
Confirms. It'll confirm your choice. Yeah. Dude, if you...
and there's unique perspective there.
Yeah, they've why not surround yourself by people who have done it? Whatever it is that you're trying to do. People who have done their trials, their tribulations, ironed out the wrinkles, created the errors. They're there. They're at their point. Why not reference their opinion so you don't repeat similar mistakes? And maybe some mistakes you have to experience. But that's something you get to choose after getting all this feedback. If you're the smartest person in the room, it's a small room and you need to be in a
go find a different room.
I've always said that, man, and it's so true because I get bored when I'm talking or I'm trying to bounce ideas off people and people are just yeah, sure. And I'm like, dude, how can you not get excited about bettering yourself? Whatever it may be. You don't have to be an athlete or an actor or a millionaire or a billionaire, but why not strive for constant improvement in your life, no matter how small?
It's not even hard. It's not even hard.
It just blows my mind that some people...
You want to stay right here? Yeah. Are you happy right here? You don't seem happy right here.
I'm not mad right here.
Not you. Not but in general, somebody.
That's their response. Yeah. I'm not mad right here. I'm not sad right here.
Yeah, but are you
half
the people
happy
are
here?
Bitching about it on social media.
Yeah.
You're are you happy?
Are you?
Go change
you
it. If you don't like it, go change it.
It's just I don't get it. But it's a conversation for another time.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think we pissed off enough people today.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get canceled just yet.
You can't. I'm Puerto Rican. I get a pass, I guess. No, I'm kidding.
I'll ride it if that's a possibility.
You look Cubano. You're Cuban, right?
No, yeah, for sure.
Andy Grove claims Cuban ancestry.
Not at all.
Man, dude, there's been so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
what's if you can give someone advice? We've talked about a lot of the good stuff you're doing, the motivations behind everything. If you can give younger you a bit of advice, what would you tell them and why?
That's a can of worms.
Don't have babies.
I don't have any yet, so
No, I know,
we're good
but-
on that front. Don't have babies at all. No. If I could tell a younger Andy what to do, don't be so angsty. Listen more. Yeah, shut up and listen
That's
more.
tough.
Yeah. I was when I was in a punk band in high school, like there was a lot of angst, and my parents were strict to some degree on like the grades and the school situation. So I was not academic in that way, and it was more of a creative and wanted to be that. And so it turned into a lot of angst. And I think if I would have calmed that down and communicated a little slower, that would have been helpful. And listening, I probably would have learned a lot of things a lot quicker. I'm kind of rapid fire, bang my head into the wall as many times as it takes kind of guy. And there's a lot of things to learn about being better at that. So that's one. Invest in something that matters as soon as possible, because it always was going to take time. It's always going to take time to build the momentum you want it to build. It's never going to build momentum immediately if it has any sort of long-term meaningful value. So start investing in that yesterday. And
Yesterday
invest
you said
in
tomorrow.
Yeah.
You ever heard that?
No.
Yesterday you said tomorrow. It's a quote that basically means
today.
like you're always, yeah.
Today's
like,
the day.
Today's the day. People always push things off. Like, I'll wait till January 1st to start my fitness journey.
Mm-hmm.
Why not start right now, today? And it's crazy, right? Starting a fitness journey on a Thursday. Yesterday you said today. Why wait till January? You know you want to do it. You know you need to do it. Start today. You wanna get into a certain industry. I'll wait till next year to explore. Start exploring it today. Start researching today. Why are you putting it off?
Yeah, there's an element of getting out of your own way. And I struggle with that every day. I mean, dude, the amount of videos that I have to edit right now, the amount of content that I have on my plate,
I'm
that
dreading.
I owe people like 2 months old stuff, and I'm like, I just have to do it. But I have a day job and all this and a million different excuses. Like, if I could figure out how to just get out of my own way and not see the mountain and just start climbing, like, it would be great.
You know what I'm thinking about right now?
And that's the one thing I'm struggling with right now. But like, if I could figure that out in high school, get out of my own way and start working, get out of my own way and start working. Like, just do it. It's not about feeling good. It's not about finding perfect happiness in everything that you're doing. Like, what is that? You couldn't even define it if you wanted to. Like, one of the things that I like to ask people is, if you could have your life exactly the way you want in 5 years, money were no object, you just get to pick it and get it, what would it look like?
Mine?
Yeah, whoever. I ask people that.
Bro, my ass would be on a beach, bro.
Right, exactly. Most people can't even answer it. Most people can't even answer it. Most people, I get nothing. I get crickets. That's great. Start there.
A lot of people
Start
are
there.
on autopilot.
Define what you want. Define what you want. It's 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Do you want a family? Do you want a business? Do you want financial freedom? Do you want a certain car? Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. It could just be a very simple goal. But having something to aim at that's specific helps you reverse engineer that goal into actions that you can take. Because the hardest part of the entire journey is having clarity. Because if you're in the fog all day, my grandfather uses this analogy, like living life, and he says it about being a Christian sometimes, but living life is like being in a swamp that's foggy, and you have matches, but the matches are wet and they only stay lit for like a second. So you light a match and you see only the next step, and you light a match and you only see only the next step, and you light a match and you see only the next step. But if you can somehow figure out how to clear the fog and have clarity and know where to go and know where the stepping stones are, then you have nothing standing in your way anymore.
Some people just need to clear the fog.
Clear the fog. And that also means eliminate the distractions.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, in life, the distraction can be that friend who's always, taking you off course, or that
That's
addiction.
a tough one.
That addiction.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. And people, when you say addiction, what do you think about?
Anything.
But like, what's the first thing? I just said addiction. What's the first thing that popped in your head?
Any sort of substance.
Drugs, right?
Yeah.
Then addiction is you chasing girls?
Anything
Are you
that
chasing?
yeah.
Or here's a controversial one. You're chasing porn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you know how many people will spend hours. I saw a study online, and take it with a grain of salt, because not a lot of people are admitting things during these studies, right? Because it's a sensitive subject. So the numbers will be skewed. Hours was the average time.
That's
Hours.
crazy to me, man. I mean, I get bored at normal things sooner.
Dude, like, I'm like, holy, like, you're telling you don't have enough time in your day and you're divulging in hours of this? Or even Netflix. People have addiction to Netflix.
People have addiction to simple dopamine. And it's easy to get.
Instant gratification.
Well, it's right here. I mean, there's a million different sources of it right here. There's food in my pantry. There's drinks in my fridge. It's all right at my fingertips. And there's a point in time where I hate to use the phrase grow up, but you have to find something.
Mature.
You have to find something more important than that. And there's more important things in the world. There's more meaningful things in the world. We are creatures who were designed to have a purpose. And if you can't tell me what your purpose is, you still have to go find it. That's a step that you have to take still. And everybody's got one. You believe that. I believe that. We're designed with a purpose. We're designed with a calling. And our calling is the niche we're meant to be in to contribute to the world. And the sooner you can find that, the sooner you'll get that gratification you're looking for. But the longer you run away from it, it's just going to create more and more problems, and you're going to fill it with more and more mundane
and the more chaos that
subject
ensues.
matters. Exactly.
Man, if that ain't the perfect place to leave off, I don't know what is. Seriously, pursue, find your first, identify your passion. Then begin the steps to pursuing said passion, and then find a way to monetize that.
Yeah, and I'll nitpick a bit in the term passion, because passion sounds like it needs to feel good. Passion's like, I need to be passionate about it. You know, I'm passionate about drawing or whatever. It's like, purpose is your thing that you're the best at, better than anybody else, that you can go drive at the hardest you possibly can. Like, what would you do all day, every day, if money were no option and you just wanted, like, could just enjoy something all the time? And just, like, even if it sucked, if it was hard, you're going to push through and get it done.
Fight.
Right? Like, you would become a pro fighter and train.
Not even pro fighter, just like helping people get there. I love training. I love that environment of pushing and grinding and sweating and hurting and being sore. And like, if I could get paid to do something, I would get paid to train. That's fitness. That's tactics. That's life. Like, I love helping. I love educating. One of my favorite things to do right now is be an instructor. I'm a firearms instructor. I'm a defensive tactics instructor. I love that because I love seeing that light turn on people. And when I see that, dude, it's like, oh, yes, purpose fulfilled. Like, today was a good day.
I see that light in people and I go, I hope it stays on.
Yeah.
And dude, I've had a couple conversations with people where they're like, oh, I got it. And I got the hype and I got that. And you're like, you're in the moment right now, but hold on to it. Don't let go. It's fleeting.
Remember this.
It's fleeting. Chase it. Yeah. You always need to hold on to it. And that requires work. If you don't do that work, it will go away.
If I could do anything in life, I would just, like, if I had unlimited money, I had to just invest in people's businesses.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Just help them get to where
you
wanted to go so bad when you were at day one.
Like, that would be so awesome to me. And I that's something, and it's not much, but like, I'm the dude, when I see someone on the side or asking for money, I get, even if it's $1, $2, $5, and I use that moment to try and like talk life into them, like, and I'll say something funny like, hey, what are you using this for? Oh, like you know, what are you using this for?
Yeah.
You know, and like, usually people give money or they ignore them. That conversation, like, now they have to ask themselves, like, am I going to tell them? I'm ashamed of this. If it's something bad, I can't say that. You're starting to hopefully get them to check themselves. Because maybe it's that one conversation that they go, and I had a dude say that. He was like, I was going to use it for drugs, but you're not going to give it to me, right? I said, if you promise me you won't use it for drugs. Did he lie to me? Probably. Did he change his life? I hope.
But he had a conviction in that
He
moment.
had a conviction in that moment.
To,
If you if you can conviction in that moment, if you can help people reach that conviction, if you can help 1,000 people get there, let's think law of average. How many people make a change with that?
Well, don't run from it. When you get convicted about something, don't run from it.
But like if you, let's say you can help people get to that point,
Yeah.
a million people. You personally can help 1 million people get to that point. How many of those do you think their life will actually change?
At least some.
If it's one,
it's worth it.
If I didn't do anything, that one person we would never get there. Maybe they find it somewhere else. Do I want to gamble on that? That's why I make it a purpose to like get people to that point of like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, why don't you pursue that? And that's the annoying part of me. I'm that guy who's like, why aren't you doing that, bro? Like I've had conversations with people at the bars. They're like, by the end of it, they're like, I'm quitting my job tomorrow. Whoa. Easy. I'm just saying, start thinking, have these conversations. No, I'm going to start my flower business, man. I'm like, there's a lot of steps involved. I'm just like, dude, but
get a paycheck from the flower business before you quit the other job.
But I have these conversations with people because I needed that so bad growing up, man. Mm-hmm. I needed someone to look at me and go, bro, I got you. You can fail 1,000 times. I got you. Whether it's spiritually or, I'll be here throughout the entire journey, or I'm a finance your business. Like, I had none of that. None of that. And what if I had one person who did that? Dude, who knows where I'd be? Or maybe I'd be worse off. You never know. Yeah, but it's get your juices flowing.
I think there's something cool to help other people find that for themselves. It's just through conversation, through business opportunities, through whatever. I mean, that's part of what the community element is, right? Of the app. If we can create a space where people are bumping into that feeling every once in a while, and maybe it can be a stepping stone for them, it makes the whole thing worth it. And that's the other reason why I wouldn't want to build and sell.
That opportunity
because I literally just axe that opportunity at a certain point.
Yeah.
And if this thing works, I'm not worried about the payout.
Yeah, because you're gonna get so much. Yeah, when I do that all the time. Like if I go when, they're like, right now. I'm like, no, when it happens. They're like, yeah, when it happens.
I always find myself saying if, and I'm like, that's not what it's. We're past that point now. There's so much time in a young business where it's like if maybe, oh my gosh, do I? And then you get to a point where the momentum builds big enough, and it's like, no, we're there. We're already there. We're already doing things. We just got a partnership with Dick's Sporting Goods. Like what? We're hanging out. We're doing classes. What?
I had this conversation with a guy I had on here about being in the mix. We call it in the mix.
That's exactly, yeah.
And it's like in 10 years, in 20 years, when Post takes off and it's in everyone's phones and people are living better lives, healthier lives, you're going to be thinking about these moments that you struggled, that you wanted to quit, that you're like, this is hard. Is this worth it? And you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad I did that. You're going to find joy. You're going to find joy in that you went through these hard things because it's allowed you to get you to a position that you got to. We do that all the time. We do that all the time. Man, in high school, D1, could have went D1. I was there, man. Why not do something now?
Use the stepping stone. What's the next one? You already got that one. Good.
In 10 years,
next.
You're looking back like, man, that's where I was at. And like musicians, man, I remember I was playing at all the local bars. No one would tip me. No one would answer my calls. No one would book me for gigs. Now they're selling out shows. They're selling out. And it's like, you were in the mix during that. When you were crying yourself to sleep, when you were wondering if this was going to pay the bills, when you were struggling, when you were like, is this for me? Should I pursue something else? That's the mix. You're in it. You were living it. You were in that moment. You're like, fuck. You're
showing
in the mix.
Up.
Yeah. But right now you're in the mix.
Absolutely.
You're in the mix.
It's fun.
I can see it in your face. It's fun. I love this.
No, it's there's hard parts.
Oh,
it's fun. I mean, you get to build relationships with
I think
people.
Entrepreneurship is so exciting.
Just, I mean, this conversation, how many new ideas did you bring to the table about it that I didn't think about yet? A bunch. That happens with many people that we talk, oh, we could use this here, here, and here, or we could do this. And I'm super passionate about the app, so there's a little bit of a selfish side of that. But, like, at the same time, like, there's a whole bunch of other things. Like, I didn't know we could put on, we're working on this class right now with Dick's Sporting Goods called Train Like a Superhero for kids.
That's cool.
Like, did I think I was going to do that 6 months ago? Mm-mm. But we're working on it, and it could turn into something, and it would be really neat, and it'd be like a fun opportunity for kids to come into the store and actually do a fitness program. And a lot of these kids don't have fitness programs in their schools anymore. So it's like, oh, shoot, this is fun. I like to go run around and play. I didn't actually get to do that in a structured way before.
So that's cool. That's a good idea. If I see one of these ideas on this app, I'm going to be so ecstatic. I'm like, he did it. He did it. Like, dude, it's so exciting. But where can people learn more about Pose if they want to get more information, if they want to follow its process from here on out? Where can people find you, your app?
Yeah, so there's a couple key places. We're primarily on Instagram right now at Pose Fitness App, and my personal is Andy Grove Official. The other place would be, like, we're on LinkedIn. We have Pose Fitness on LinkedIn, so you can follow us there. But we're mostly posting on Instagram at this point. I would maybe check out Pose Fitness on YouTube eventually. But we are also offering personal training through our website. So we have a bunch of trainers on staff. We're ready to do one-to-one personal training. We're ready to do some in-person stuff and remote. And we're offering classes. So we have a strength and mobility class, a yoga class. We're working on a few other different things like a golf class. And all that information is on our website. So it's as easy as going on the website, hitting the contact form, and sending us a message. I get all the messages directly on my personal device, so I'll reach out to whoever reaches out to us, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Closing thought. Another idea. Do you do baseball?
So our one guy, Kalen, is a baseball guy, and we've been working on a lot of baseball things.
Swings.
Yeah.
There's a science to it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
I'll store it up here.
No, but bro, I appreciate you for jumping on. Dude, this conversation was so fire. I'm just dreading the editing that's going to happen after, but yeah, I appreciate you for jumping on. This is the one with Andy Grove, Pose Fitness. Make sure you follow his Instagram, follow the business's Instagram, because this is just the beginning. This is the beginning. You guys have so much stuff in the works that I'm excited. So you got a lifelong friend, partner, and fan. I'm a fan, dude.
I received that.
I'm fanning.
Hey,
my God. Well,
thank you very much for having me. This was awesome. I always have fun with these conversations, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Oh, dude. I'm going to have a series where I just bring everyone back and call it like 2.0. But follow the Relentless Project on Instagram, Relentless PRJCT, YouTube, the same. The website, www.therelentlessproject.com. You can find Andy's episode. You can find everyone's episode who's doing crazy things in the Pittsburgh area and beyond. I appreciate you guys for listening, and we're out. Later.